Yeah. 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 Memories. Memories. Yeah. Memories. Memories. Got lots of love. Love. 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 Got lots of love. Love.
4v3.
Everfrog Esports trying to find what angle they can, trying to find somebody out of position.
We're gonna go through on this. Oh, what a roll. We're gonna take black. See White gonna go in.
It's going to be a really, really interesting one.
Oh my god. All of this competition could be so damn close, so I cannot wait for us to finally decide who's going to be the champion. We are expecting some chaos, some great moments.
A beast mode has killed 3. Only gonna really need that rampage, so it's gonna clear it out. Santi gonna get themselves a big old 4K. Oh. Santi's getting rid of 3, clearing out the house.
That is crazy.
Nunji actually kills 3 people.
This team feels entirely different on this faster composition. Now Saga is hanging around, getting onto the high ground. Post bomb's gonna stick on the Leaky. You're not gonna be able to survive it at the end of the game. Manages to find a 3K.
Rio shoving this Lana into a corner. Woo! One more for the road for Rio.
That is all signs go. Melophobia with 3 Melophobia. Start the fight. They'll end the fight. Oh my god. Beagle Bus, they have to play aggressively into this energy. Popping off in a moment where you needed just that. Ruby in that backline. Oh, the flick. Looking for it. Oh my goodness. The 4th one as well. Do they get the ace? They get the ace.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us here on this Sunday and throughout the entire of these last couple weeks in CGL. We have been crowning champions throughout the North America and European region, but we're going to be settling things here today in South America. Thank you very much for joining us here today. We have ourselves this match between Tio Cola and 1Tricks Dexatron. We're going to be crowning our first ever CGL in South America champion here in the regular season. So, I mean, this is a very first time right here. It is as exciting as it possibly could be.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have ourselves a great series here tonight. Tio Cola, the #1 seed throughout the regular season, only dropping one series. And who do they drop it to? 1Tricks in a 5-map series there. Actually, I think it might have been a 4-map series, but still, 1Tricks, the only team that's been able to beat Tio Cola throughout this entire series. Tio Cola, mid-season playoff champions as well here. And they have gone through the upper bracket here pretty smoothly, other than one slight hiccup with a map 5 series against who else other than 1Tricks here. So this is lining up to be a series that is going to go a long way here tonight, Hunter.
It really should. These teams have yet to have a 3-0 situation. They faced each other on 3 different occasions. At the very least, it has gone to a 3-1 situation. So these teams not familiar, just simply bulldozing through each other. So I 100% agree. It should be that close one. But of course, we know the game of Overwatch. We know esports in general is sometimes things can simply go one way and start running away with it. But either way, we got to focus on what's going to be going on in this very first map because, of course, we got to get the picks and the bans all sorted out here in time. But, Dex, I believe maybe we should take a quick look maybe at that bracket if we have it available because it has been quite a journey for both of these teams. You kind of brought up earlier the bit of a lower bracket journey that 1Tricks had to have here, winning 3 games consecutively in that lower bracket, dropping only 1 map to have this rematch.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said right there, after Tio Cola was able to beat 1Tricks in that winners round 2, 1Tricks played 10 maps in that lower bracket, only dropping 1 to Phantom Team there, who was one of those really good teams. I mean, this South American tier was very competitive, but 1Tricks easily guiding their way back here to this grand finals rematch with Tio Cola. But Hunter, why don't we say, well, I mean, we talked about this. We talked about these teams. We talked about how they got to this point. Why don't we get started off with this series? But we all know where every team loves to go for map #1. So our first map, to no one's surprise, is going to be Lijiang Tower.
Going to be as straightforward could possibly be in the situation here. I think this is one of those maps, again, like a lot of control maps, that is going to offer a lot of flexibility. While you go to control center, that rush/brawl style is going to be very prevalent. Dive is also very much a valid composition when you get to a submap like Garden. So I think very early on, Dex, we're going to see how comfortable these teams are at kind of swapping things around, or maybe we're going to find out really quickly if these teams just have a, no pun intended, a one-trick composition that they are just strictly dedicated to.
Well, it would make sense for one of the teams here, but Tio Cola, on the other hand, I mean, they've been solid throughout the entire season. Both these teams relatively deep when it comes to their rosters here. I believe each team has over 8 players on it, but we do know our bans for map number 1 in this series here. Tio Cola gets first ban, going to be banning out the Cassidy. 1Tricks on the other side, banning out the Juno. And honestly, Hunter, this might be one of the most normal map 1 bans that I've seen here in a while.
Yeah, I think from the map 1 bans that I have seen, if there's a character that probably has been banned the most, it has been Juno. And to be fair, that's for a really good reason. I think when you go into Control, it's realistically one of the best map types for a character like this, where there's a lot of closed-in environments where that orbital ray can have the most impact as well. So I like the fact this is being banned out way early on in the situation. Cassidy getting rid of a hit scan, so if you wanted to run something out like the Pharah, that, as we saw this past weekend here, starting to get some play time up in the Pro League, so very much a viable option. But at this point, Dex, we can look at the bans, we can look at all of the different things going on, but I think what's most important is the 10 players that are going to be starting here to get this first map going.
Yep, absolutely. Starting off with your number 1 overall seed, Tio Cola. You have Patriota and Poke as your DPS line, Garcia as your tank, Rock and Maya here as your support line. Like I've said, this was the best team in the regular season, only dropping 1 series and not that many maps through it. They are probably your favorites coming into the series here tonight, but the team on the other side of the 1Tricks, well, they've been the only team that's been able to beat them so far this season.
100%, and that's of course 1Tricks in this situation. The only team being able to pull that off is a major feat, and that's got to give you some level of confidence going into this one. And here, of course, you have Silva and Salad over on the DPS category. You have Skies on tank, and then Nathio over and Juju over on the support category. And the fact that a team like this was able to bounce back, a team that, by the way, didn't even get to compete in the mid-season tournament, be able to bounce back, make the way to the grand finals, that is not something we see every day, Dex.
No, it is not. And we talked about before we came on air here, the 1Tricks, they lost their 2 games this season, weeks 1 and weeks 3 in 5 map series here. So, I mean, if you flip those around, we could be talking about potentially the 1Tricks being an undefeated team as well in this season. And I think it's going to be a very, very fun series here to get started. But everyone, like we said, we're going to be heading to Lijiang Tower here first. And Hunter, you mentioned it, a lot of competitions could come out here. No tanks being banned out. So you have a lot of options.
Yeah, 100%. Normally, we see a lot of those tank bans seem to become more targeted bans as we get throughout the series, because you're able to see what works the best for both teams here, and you're able to adapt off of that. That's what's so great about these bans right here. But that's why you'll also have to be careful. The reason why Juno is such a reasonable ban, it's that it's not a risky character to get rid of early. Say you ban Doomfist out on that first map, and turns out, hey, the tank's really good at Doomfist. There's not a single thing the enemy team is going to be able to do about that for the rest of the season. Or not the season, the rest of the game for that matter. But in that scenario, you have to be extremely careful, especially when this could be an extremely long series.
Yeah, and I expect it to be an extremely long series. And like you said, you don't want to ban out one hero very early on. We saw that last night in the NA Diamond tier where Ramatra was banned out in the first map, and that team from then on out was able to play Ramatra to just basically destroy the other team in our NA Diamond Grand Finals last night. So you have to be very, very smart with your bans. You got to know when to make the right one, and you got to know when you need to hold off here. So like you said, no ban coming out for tanks here this first map. Really seems like both teams, they want to try to feel out maybe the first 2 maps here before they start going after tanks. DPS line and supports, those are very simple bans to make, because a lot of times you probably will all see the Juno be banned out by the other team at some point throughout this series.
Yeah, remembering that fact as well, that the bans can go on both sides. So just because we have Juno being banned on one side doesn't mean it can't be banned by the other. It is a 1 ban per team per series in this situation right here. So obviously, if you decide that it's more of a threat on the other side of things down the line and you want to double down and get rid of it yourself, you 100% have the option to do so. But obviously, that's going to come with adaptation. And the fact with Dex, if we do end up having a longer series, we kind of have that ability for the map pool to reopen back up in the situation. But when we get to maps 4 and map 5, that's when you're kind of going to be forced to lock into these certain modes. And I think we've seen the most on those maps that ability to ban on those maps is more important than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, you could basically say the first 3 maps bans really don't mean a lot here. Maps 4 through 7 are probably really, really important bans, but still, you have to be making smart bans in those first 3 maps as well. You don't want to put yourself too far behind the 8 ball and be down 0-3 going into map number 4. But everyone, it looks like we're about to be heading in here for our first ever South American Console Open Grand Finals. Tio Cola will be taking on 1Tricks.
Yep, excited to get this one started right away here. Obviously, you want to be the team to get that first map, to get the momentum, to get things going, because if you get that, you're going to be able to start dictating the pace of this series to come by. Even if you are trading back and forth, you could be the team to get that final pick when you get to that last map. But either way, by the looks of it, Dex, we are going to get started over on Control Center, which means Rush is going to be king here. And with the way the meta has kind of transformed in a way where nothing is really a solid one trick in the situation, or more so something that is just so easy to pick, is where we see maybe a little bit of variety from both sides.
Yeah, and you can already see one team looks like they're rocking the Orisa out here. The other team, we'll see in a moment what they're going to be playing with here. But Orisa in a very interesting spot at the moment. A lot of teams are starting to use her again, especially at the highest level. It actually looks like both teams are going to be playing the Orisas here early on. I love these backlines as well. Zenyatta's just going to be there to melt down the Orisas, and you have the Baptiste there just trying to get a lot of burst healing out. But outside of that, the DPS line's completely different here. Tio Cola, they want to get a lot of bursts from Poke, and then have Patriota get in that backline just clean up. The other side, it kind of looks like they want to run a little bit of dive.
Yeah, it kind of has that dive in mind too right now, but that backline screams Poke in the situation right here. So that backline, he's going to think very carefully right now. And unfortunately, for their side of Tio Cola, losing out on their Tracer very quickly. Juju able to find the shots right there, and that's the power that you have as a Zenyatta. If you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you can be taken out just like that.
Yeah, but at the same time with the Zenyatta, I mean, they can do a lot of damage, and Patriota really learning that very early on here. They have to be very careful around Juju here, because anyone that plays Zenyatta, I feel like they're going to be able to at least cut, 5-click you right there with that volley. But right now, 1Tricks has his point cap here first. I'm really looking for Poke here to get a lot of damage onto someone here, allowing Patriota to really try to find a cleanup kill here. Garcia, though, it's going to be Juju again who finds the first pick.
Yeah, and that fight's non-existent now at that point. You're building up more. You're getting a couple stagger kills. Patriota does manage to get rid of one. Unfortunately, isn't going to be able to get out alive. And now this is where we start talking about ults. But Poke is going to give up the ult charge and go over to the Ashe in the situation instead.
Yeah, I don't think the Pharaoh is really looking or finding the value or truly looking for them. They weren't able to get a lot of bursts, even with the fact that 1Tricks really didn't have anything outside of Silver to try to focus them out. They just weren't really doing a lot here. So now over to the Ashe, Dynamite's gonna become a bit more crucial. And I think the Bob overall is just gonna be a little bit of a better ult. Will force 1Tricks to put themselves into positions they don't really want to. But again, Juju, 3 team fights. Juju find the first fight all 3 times.
Yeah, and it's tough to really do anything once you lose your Zenyatta at that point right there, because now you can't go in with the Transcendence, which means you don't have that extra security when you go in super aggro right here. But I imagine they're going to get it back pretty quickly in this situation here. And Dex, with these ultimates online, you're looking at Patriota to get a stick, try to find something right now, but it's going to throw it out, and it's going to get Gilly squat, unfortunately. But hey, 3 ults? What?
Yeah, interesting plays coming out here from 1Tricks, but they're still technically winning this fight here as Tio Cola. I mean, Pulse Bomb and already the Transcendence out there from Rock as well. I mean, both sides not really finding anything early on with their ultimates here.
Yeah, not at all. And now we're sitting the 90% right now. Eventually, people are going to have to stay on this point, trying to get a flip right now. But Garcia might be a little too far. In fact, he's going to lose out on using the ult as well. This could be curtains right here and now. Going to see if we get an overtime touch, but it is not going to happen. 100-0 to get things started. 1Tricks, I mean, it just maybe had the right DPS core walking out. Unfortunately, it's hard to bounce back when you have a mode that is as quick as Control could be.
Yeah, and what an introduction for 1Tricks here. This is probably exactly how they want to start off this series. Tio Cola looked kind of lost there. The Orisa didn't really work out for them, and the DPS line, like you said, just really never fit a good mold there. At 1Tricks, they were finding everything they truly wanted there. I think Patriota on that Tracer was just not enough. I think you need to swap off of that and just try to go over to something like 1Tricks, playing a little bit, maybe have that Sojourner, maybe even an Ashe of your own there. Remember, Cassidy is banned out here, and my feeling is, even though Tio Cola did ban out the Cassidy, they might be regretting that here at the moment. TP's, though, going to be used to get out of spawn, and both teams kind of rocky with what they started off with last round.
Yeah, Poke thinks they're going to have a better opportunity to get away with the far this time around, which, to be fair, it's a lot more of an open environment and still a amount of stable ground to kind of hang around right here, especially when you get over to the point. There's a lot of little windows and cracks you can kind of shoot around and take these nice angles on, so I think you can find some approximate value. The thing is who's going to get that first pick, because if we have Rock or Garcia go down early again, it's going to be really difficult to make that fight happen, and there you go right there, Juju being taken down, the person who was the main threat throughout that first map right there, going to open up the door wide open, and Dex looks like Tiakola finally going to be responding.
And they might be able to get not heal right there. They're going to be able to do that. And I think getting rid of Juju is exactly what Tiakola needs to do here early and often. I was going to say it before I threw it back over to you there. If they get rid of Juju here, they're going to find themselves a lot of opportunities, because that's Zenyatta. A lot of damage, but the Discord Orbs just does so much to a lot of people on Tiakola. You saw Garcia falling a lot there early on. Poke was struggling as well. But like you said, this is a better map for Pharah. A lot more better angles for them. You see him basically playing at the backside of the point. And 1Tricks already making some swaps over here. Silva showing us the legs here. A soldier. I haven't seen one of those in a while.
You see it all the time in Stadium lately. Bugging to see if it's going to find the same amount of value in the regular mode right here. But for the time being, 35% on the board right now. Ults coming around the corner for both sides, but very quickly for Tiakola right now. Everybody at least at that 70% marker right now. And Patriota hoping to maybe find this pulse. If you can find it onto Juju or not heal, you can pretty much try to extinguish this fight right here and now. But for the time being, both teams can be very patient right here. But unfortunately, Rock goes out super early. The pulse bomb comes out. Nihil doesn't get hit with their immortality field right now. And Scott gets away with the 2K, and it's going back and forth. But at the end of the day, I believe the damage of the numbers game will quickly be going back in favor of 1Tricks.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of ultimates invested into that fight, but if you're Tiakola, you're perfectly fine, honestly. 1Tricks invested the Amp and the Terra Surge. I mean, you're still holding on to your own Transcendence and a Terra Surge Poke not that far away from the Barrage here, so you have stuff coming into this next fight. However, Juju, they have that get out of jail free card, at least for themselves, with that Transcendence to keep everyone alive on their side here, especially when this fight breaks out. But if you're Tiakola, again, focus on Juju. They found the first pick that last fight, and look what happened. 1Tricks was able to win for, I mean, the 4th or 5th time this map already.
Yeah, and you see right now, Poke is going to have the ult ready and is going to try to boom. Unfortunately, dies right now, and now you're not going to find a lot of value if you're Garcia in the situation right here. Basically going to get ran down, but it's going to get pushed off the edge at the end of the day. Going to slide off, and this creates an opening right here for Tiakola to pull this one back right now. It's trading back and forth. Numbers still very much trading to both sides right now. Poke coming back, going to have this barrage around the corner. Going to debate if you're going to need it. Right now, you're definitely considering it's going to come out. It's going to help trade out with one right now, but at the end of the day, 1Tricks going to survive the fight and hold on to the blade at that.
And we've highlighted how lethal Juju is here, but Juju was the one person where 1Tricks that was completely ignored in that entire fight. You saw everyone there in Tiakola trying to get rid of Salad, trying to get rid of Silver, trying to get rid of anyone else on that playing field. Juju, they're kind of playing how Poke was playing, just towards the back of the point here. Poke already taken out here early on. I mean, Tiakola started off this round really well, but they're slowly starting to lose it.
Yeah, but now Pulse Bomb could be the thing that pulls this one back. It's going to go around. It's going to catch on to Diddly Squat, unfortunately, but the ability to win this fight is very much still here. Is a 4v4 right now. Someone's got to eventually force their way onto this point right now and not allow the free flip right now. Is going to flip back over, but Sal's going to go for the blade. Going to find one. Not going to find a whole lot much more for the moment right now. Trying to slice and dice through in this situation right here, but unfortunately, looks like they're eventually going to be caught out here as Jeff will reset, and this next fight likely going to be a decider here.
Yeah, I mean, getting rid of Skies here is going to be huge. You do lose Maya, though. That's not necessarily who you want to see fall there if you were Tiakola, but you'll take it. You'll take that trade every day of the week. But if you're Tiakola, in my opinion, you kind of have to play up here. Garcia has his Terra Surge. You want to try to at least force something out from 1Tricks very early on. Yeah, they don't have anything ready here soon, but Juju and Skies almost have their two ultimates, and those will be ultimates that have won them fights in the past, but you have to get Juju off the field here early. Like I've said multiple times, Juju has been someone who started and ended a lot of fights here for 1Tricks.
Yeah, you see keeping their head on a swivel as well. Going to use the ult very early on in the situation right here. You see the aggression immediately from the Terra Surge. Is going to catch onto Maya in the situation. You lose that on the ult, and it's down to Garcia to pull it back. Garcia, though, does manage to come away with two, and it's a 2v1, though, currently. And it's on the back of Patriota to make it happen right now. It's a 1v1. Pulse Bomb comes out, like it's taken out, and it's in Tiakola's favor. It's going to stay there, and we are going to round 3.
What a way to bounce back there for Teocola. I thought once they lost Garcia, that round was going to be over. The point was going to flip, and I thought 1Tricks had everything coming up to really hold on to it, but give it up to Patriota right there to just being able to find those last couple kills and find the stick there onto Silva, which really sealed the deal there. I mean, these two teams, they're really warmed up into the series now. Teocola still playing a little bit slower than what you would expect from the team that's kind of been dominating this tier all season long, but 1Tricks, hey, they have been showing us a lot, and right now Juju is by far the hands down standout for me here. They have been just a problem on this Zenyatta, and Teocola slowly starting to figure out they need to get rhythm here early and often, but you're gonna see the same strategy here for both teams. Sim TP's out of the door. Silva gonna be sticking on the soldier here. I like that pick here. Poke didn't really find a lot more value after they made that swap, and I feel like just the pressure that Silva is able to put onto Teocola here with this soldier, especially on off angles, it's just a little bit too much for Teocola to really handle sometimes, especially with how they're playing right now with going all the way back towards their spawn.
Yeah, and Rock's already been of a rough situation right now, and eventually someone's gonna have to respond and go after the Silva in the situation right here. Is Point going to unlock. Hoping to get a good first early fight right now. Poke's pretty much going to abandon the fight initially to try to find him out, but unfortunately Garcia pretty much gets burnt away, and you're giving your all to try to get rid of just one person, and the bright side is you do, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to result in a fight win in the slightest.
No, and Sky's already found 3 picks here, and 2 of those being assisted by Juju. Those Discord orbs are coming in very, very clutch. And I mean, I'm going to stop saying it here, but if you are Teocola, you have to get rid of Juju here early. They've just been doing too much. The Discord orbs are scaring your team here out. And Juju has just done a lot of damage, finding a lot of picks here very early on in fights so far throughout this map. Teocola, no, they've never been a good team to really re-engage back on the points here. They got a free flip over last time. We were able to win a team fight after that. And 1Tricks, though, they cannot allow a free flip.
Yeah, in this situation, you see a lot of contact going on to Silva as well. And Silva, while they're being a threat in the backline right now, I don't think they're doing as much as the backline has been able to do throughout this series right here. So I'm hoping eventually some of that attention is going to shift over right now, as we're already approaching that 40% marker right now, as Alt's coming around the corner, but Skies is way further ahead. Pulse Bomb going to come out online, not going to catch on to anybody right now, though. Still doing a great job in the backline, going to be able to get rid of Juju right now. Unfortunately, will not be able to grab the health pack right here, so it's back to a 4v4. Going to see the Terror Surge coming online. Separation, Sky going to get rid of another, and unfortunately, it is falling apart once more for Teocola.
And Scott's built that Terror Surge a lot faster than Garcia. Garcia not even 75% on the way towards theirs here. I mean, that was the one ultimate that 1Tricks needed to invest in that fight, and they were going to win it there. Look at what they have coming up, though. They still have Transcendence. They have the Ant Matrix. Salad kind of struggling a little bit on the Genji getting that blade, but Silva not that far away from a visor. Teocola, on the other hand, you're about to have both your support ultimates and a barrage, but Garcia, I mean, you need a pretty decent fight here early on from them to get up to their own Terror Surge, but 80% on the point here, Hunter. They really cannot stall or go slow here. They have to play fast, but you already lose Garcia.
And now you just have to play for it. You just have to go with Rock here in the situation. You have to like almost commit to the situation right here, because you're gonna lose out on your for as well. And now you don't get a choice. You're just gonna have to force a touch right here. I don't know if Patriota can do it right now. Eventually, it's going to come through, though. It's going to make it happen right now, which means next touch needs to try to come through directly afterwards. Right now, will be alive, and Rock going to engage with that Transcendence. Going to be able to keep Garcia up for the time being, but they need to eventually find a target right now, because there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of focus going on right now, and now Juju using that Transcendence is going to create an environment for them to be able to find some kind of pick. If Garcia can go down, it would be fantastic right now, as the Terror Surge is out. Lots of bodies low on both sides. Dex, it's going to come down to whoever gets this first pick.
And right now, if you're Teocola, you need to clean up someone. This healing field's going to be able to help out Garcia there a lot. You do lose Rock, but you do find the 2 picks you're looking for here. The Blade not going to be able to find only but 1 here. Teocola had death's doorstep. Going to be able to keep this round alive here. But look at 1Tricks. They have the Terror Surge coming up. Teocola, they basically had to invest a lot into that fight. Poke, though, going over to the soldier of their own. 50% to a visor. And honestly, you need them to kind of start popping off here a little bit as well. Silver, though, going back over to the Soj that they were playing early on in this map. But Teocola now in control of this point. I want to see how 1Tricks really plays, as it looks like, though, they're going to try to go through White Room.
I mean, Skies has no reason not to just simply build out this Terror Surge and just simply go for it the moment they get it online here. You gotta take all that space away. You can take a little bit more proc as well and get Not Heal closer and closer to getting that Ant Matrix as well, because unfortunately for Teocola, the closest thing they are to is this visor, which unfortunately in a close area like this isn't too useful. It's gonna get quite a few bodies right now. It's gonna force Poke and Maya into a really awkward spot, and unfortunately, it might be as simple as that, and Dex 100% is going to be Patriota. Last touch for the squad, going to be able to get rid of one right now. has Pulse Bomb around the corner. It's gonna, well, it was going to try to come out. Unfortunately, it does not. No touches available. 1Tricks gonna take the first map in the situation right here. And may I say, the times where they were ahead, very dominantly so.
Yeah, very much. I mean, 1Tricks, they came out here with a plan, and Teocola, it just didn't seem like they were able to bounce back a lot of the times here. Yeah, they were able to win that second point, and they looked really good on it, but 1Tricks throughout this first map really showed us a lot more. This DPS line for them, and especially Juju on that Zenyatta, was a big problem. But both teams, they like to play the Zen here, and if you're Teocola, do you want to potentially use a Zen ban going into map number 2? I don't necessarily know if that's what you want to do, but you might just want to try to get Juju off of that hero early on, because it causes you so much problems. And like I said before going into map 1, you don't want to let this series start getting away from you here. You want to try to make sure that going into map 3, it's tied up at 1.
Yeah, 100%. And the bright side is you get to also play around that whole map situation right here. So if you wanted to go into a situation where, let's say, you wanted to force a dive scenario right here, but you're afraid of them still running the Zen, you could take us to like a new Bonnie and simply get rid of the Zenyatta. And then in that situation, you would still have the ability to protect what other supports you wanted to. Obviously, D-Ban could go the other side. Maybe you get a tank or a DPS that kind of suits them right here. But in this situation right here, I don't think there's anything you can really call out very specifically from that first map. Because yes, you had some effectiveness from the Genji, from even when Poke came out on the Soldier as well. But in this situation right here, it's the question of, do you go down that route immediately, or do you save something like that for even further on and take this second map to try something else to see if you can succeed without having to ban away the Zen?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see. I mean, that tank battle, though, between Garcia and Skies was something really fun to watch throughout the entire first map. Skies was able to find a lot more value when it came to their Terror Surge, and just honestly, they were able to create a lot more space. Garcia struggled with a lot of their stuff. Like, yeah, they were able to find a couple double kills with their Terror Surge here and there throughout that first round, but it just kind of seemed like Skies was able to always have the upper hand in a lot of the fights there. And yeah, you could talk about how it really came down to the play of the rest of their team, but you want that Orisa to be taking a lot of space, and that's something that Skies was not afraid to do that first map. Garcia, on the other hand, they kind of struggle to do it. They would try, but you saw them a lot getting Discord Orb and being the first one taken out of a couple engagements, especially in that final point there. Skies getting taken out very early on was something that, I mean, my bad. Garcia getting taken out very early on was something that absolutely devastated them towards the end there. They were able to get the flip, though, so I will give them credit for that. But Hunter, we do know what our second map of this grand finals will be. We're going to be heading to the escort map of Rialto.
Yeah, and I don't mind this pick whatsoever right here. It's going to play into a lot of what already had existed over on Lijiang Tower. I think it's going to play very similarly. The question really comes down to what the ban is going to be in the situation, because like I've already brought up, you either ban the Zen right here and try to outright just kill it and take this map away, or you try to see if you can make something different happen here, because on a map like Rialto, I think there's a lot of viability for a lot of different compositions. You could stick on the Orisa, but I think Sigma could work really good here. I think Armacha could work really great here. I think even Diva Winston have a lot of viability on certain points as well. So the option is definitely open, but to be fair, the combos that we saw on Lijiang, let's be real, Dex, not traditionally what we see on a map like that.
No, not really. But I mean, that might just be because we haven't been watching the South American region a lot here. This might be something that they play fairly often here, and that's what we kind of have to expect here. But like you said, heading into Rialto, poke, rush, brawl, dive, I think, especially on the first point, is very, very viable. Second point as well, high ground is very important, and just building up some space. So it really comes down to what these teams want to play. I think Teocola, if they want to come out with something a little bit different here, dive might be the way to go, just to try to get a little bit of more pressure there onto Skies. If they do come out on that Orisa, yeah, Fortify is there, Spear Spin is there, Javelin is there to try to keep them away. But you want to try to make them be on their toes a little bit here. You want them to be kind of looking around, wondering where the next kind of dive is going to go out there. And I mean, we saw Patriota there on the Tracer. Started off very slow that first map, but got consistently better as that first map went on. And heading into the second map, I would not be surprised to come back out on the Tracer.
Yeah, I really wouldn't be out in that situation right there, and I'm expecting for Patriota to keep having that momentum over on the Tracer right here, which will then bring into question, because it'll probably happen eventually, but the question is, when are 1Tricks going to ban out that Tracer? Because it's not like they were running it themselves over on that first map. Doesn't mean they won't run it at all, obviously. But I think if you see Patriota really start to pick up more and more momentum, you have to decide when the right opportunity to shut that down is. Because, Dex, we've seen it before. When you're on a roll on a character, you're just kind of going at it. and then it gets banned, it doesn't feel quite the same after that point. So I'm curious to see how exactly they want to go about it, but that does kind of delve into my curiosity, Dex, as to what this ban is going to be for 1Tricks, because we seem to have a fair enough idea for Teocola of the route they want to go down. But I mean, is there realistically any standouts that you could kind of worry about when we're talking about 1Tricks and their ban?
Well, I mean, we could talk about it a little bit here, but we do have the bans ready to go. So why don't we just show you them here rather than speculating on it? Teocola going to be banning out the Sojourn here. 1Tricks on the other side, banning out the D.Va. And Hunter, both me and you said this is a map where you could definitely see D.Va come out. Teocola, though, banning out that Sojourn, I think this is a really smart play for them. Silva was doing just enough, in my opinion, on the Soj to really just cause Teocola a decent amount of problems. But we saw them go through a couple different heroes. Soldier, another one that we don't see a lot, but they actually did a really good job on it, even forcing Teocola at points to play a Soldier as well, just to try to match them. But when we saw that happen, immediately Silva went right back over to the Soj and honestly found a lot of value with the here. But we talked about it a little bit, and like I already said, D.Va was a hero that both me and you thought we could see here. You get rid of them, force them to only play something like a Winston, a Doomfist, or maybe even a Hazard here if Teocola wants to try to play that kind of play style.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is another scenario of perfectly reasonable bans that aren't a risk whatsoever right here. Obviously, Sojourn can have a lot of value in fights, but the fact that we've only been seeing it come out like from that first map here and there, I think this is extremely reasonable to be like, hey, we just want to try to stop this right now. Make sure we don't have to worry about it for the map. A map where Sojourn can obviously get a lot of value on, being able to get on and off the high ground extremely easily. So I'm excited to see what the route is going to be. Obviously, Sem 10 player is going to be in the lineup as well as Rialto, a map that, man, it always baffles me how long this map has been around, back when we had the lovely event for it as well. Do you remember what the event was called, Dex? I can't seem to remember what the event here was called.
Wasn't this an Archives map?
This was an Archives map, but I can't remember. Was it Retribution? You know what?
It was one of the Blackwatch ones. But coming out of the gate here, Teocola basically kind of playing the exact same composition that we saw them play a little bit in Lijiang Tower there. Poke going over to the Ashe here. We saw the Ashe for a brief moment really struggle to find a lot of value there. 1Tricks, on the other hand, still coming out here with the Orisa. So my feeling is, Hunter, if these are the compositions that these teams want to play, especially these two tanks, we might be seeing the Orisa a lot throughout the series here tonight. Not heal though, coming out on the Ana. I really like this pick here. Never mind. Going back over to the Baptiste. Silver back over to the Soldier there with the Soj being banned. Makes a lot of sense. Solid though on this Widowmaker. This has to be one you really have to watch out for, because all you really truly need here is one good pick by that Widowmaker and you open up so much possibilities for the rest of your team. But they immediately go back over to Genji. It looked like when they saw that no one from Teocola was poking their head up. But Juju again!
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson to not let Juju do Juju things? As Garcia, he's going to be suffering immensely in the situation right here. The team pretty much falling around them in the situation right here. Going to die late. And I'm going to be honest, Dex, this is my theory right here. The mirrored eraser right here, I think into what 1Tricks is running, I don't know if it's going to work. Like, already, I don't know how to feel about it.
It's a questionable thing here. I think you maybe have one or two more opportunities here with the Orisa you have to swap off. But Maya going over here to the Ana of their own. I like this a lot here. You get rid of the Baptiste, but you bring in that Antinate and the Sleep Dart. But Patriota falls here early on. And Skies is basically blocking Garcia from even getting to that first point. And look at that. 1Tricks capping that first point incredibly quick.
Immensely. I'm not sure if that cart really ever got stopped at any point whatsoever. And now, you're gonna see if Garcia is gonna make any adjustments whatsoever. Right now, Maya's gonna die late in the situation right here. And you see right now, 1Tricks isn't bothering with keeping like everybody up. They're keeping 2 bodies, 3 bodies on that cart consistently.
And I like this. I mean, they want to play fast here. They're taking a very early lead here and a big amount of distance already pushed here. And remember that they haven't even been pushing a minute in that little thing up there. You already see they're about halfway to the second point here. And they have ultimates coming up, which Teocola does not.
Yep, bye-bye, Rock. Unfortunate situation right there. Going to be pushing Garcia off of the high ground away. Skies with the snipe, with the spear right there. And going to get pushed back a little bit, but not going to matter a ton. Garcia going to go down right here. Probably going to throw a couple more bodies back on and try to cap this right here and now.
And honestly, right now, if you're Tio Cola, this is just not looking good for you. Juju still finding a lot of value here, but Skies has been the standout so far. The Terror Surge there into the Javelin throw. I mean, they have just been a dead-eye, and look at that, no touch again. Almost 6 minutes on that time bank, Hunter. I don't think I've ever seen a time bank this high before, and Juju finding the first pick yet again.
And finally, we have a pick with Salad going down, but it doesn't mean a whole lot in the grand scheme of things when essentially the spawns are equivalent distance from each other right now, but that's going to keep moving forward right now. Garcia going to be trying to escape right now, so is Patriota, who eventually will get some care in the situation. So with ultimates online, they're going to have this ability to kind of bunker together and make something happen, but Dex, my god, does this fight need to go their way.
Yeah, Tio Cola needs something here. They need to be able to eat a little bit of the time bank, but look at 1Tricks coming up to 4 ultimates right now, not far away from 5. Tio Cola, because of the swap on Poke, doesn't really have all but their own 4. Pulse Bomb coming out here, needs to find one, but they're not going to be able to do anything just yet. The buys, though, out from Silva.
Yeah, right now going to be causing everybody to go into a rough area. Patriota just goes down just like that. Terror Surge coming up online. Going to be clearing bodies away in the scenario right now. It's down to Garcia to try to make something happen. Maya, though, gets deleted. Unfortunately, Garcia is not going to be too far behind. It's coming down to the stalls, but my god, Dex, someone needs to call the Esports Commission right now because we just saw an absolute slaughter. 4 minutes, 42 seconds. I don't know if I have seen a higher time than that in my 7 years of doing this.
That has to be a record. That has to be a record. Even outside of CGL. It's definitely a CGL record. 4 minutes, 42 seconds. Hunter, that's 42 more seconds than what you get to start the map. I mean, it was all gas, no brakes here for 1Tricks. Tio Cola, at the moment, they look lost. They really do, and that's the unfortunate thing because I mean we saw them fight back in Lijiang, but this map or that round there was no fight back. It was just a struggle fest for them, and it's unfortunate to say about that. But like I said, coming to this map, they really don't want to get too far behind the 8-ball. Hunter, I mean, they're not that far away from not even being on the pool table anymore. I mean, they need this round here to go their way. You don't even have to try to match the time bank. You just need to at least finish the map.
Yeah, I mean, that's the bare minimum of what you need here. But even then, you just in theoreticals here, if you manage to cap the map with no time, that would mean 1Tricks would get a whopping 5 minutes and 42 seconds on an attack. That is an extreme amount of time to have right here, but Tio Cola has to have a response here. And to be honest, I think even this early in the series, this is the perfect time to test something and just simply see what works because this map's already in a rough situation. You might as well try different things and see what's going to be most effective.
And here's the thing, when these two teams met in that winners round 2, Tio Cola won the first 2 maps and denied a reverse sweep from 1Tricks in that map 5. Right now, 1Tricks looks like they learned a lot from it here and are playing a little bit angry here. Tio Cola, it's like they're struggling. It seems like they're playing kind of half asleep here at the moment. They need this round to go their way. You need your DPS line to kind of pop off, but Rock very low on health. You cannot afford to lose a support here early on.
Yeah, you really can't all in the situation right here. This first fight going to be important to getting some momentum on your side right here because while Tio Cola, he's not going to be able to manage the time bank that 1Tricks has set. The important thing is just taking this step by step, point by point in this scenario right here. Silva doing a really good job of simply playing around the fillers. Make sure to keep finding Poke because at the time being, remember, 1Tricks, they don't have to be aggressive whatsoever. They can just simply hold the corner strong.
And that's what they're doing right now. And I mean, you see 1Tricks, they're just playing it safe. Tio Cola, they need to find a pick, but the problem is Sky's just absorbing all the damage, and you have not healing Juju doing a good job of just keeping them alive. This enemy coming out. They need to be able to find something here. They really do.
Yeah, that'd be slightly too awkward of a position right now, but it's moving with the cart, so you can't be too mad about it. You're going to be able to lose on the Patriota, but you are burning some bodies away right now, not healed. Gets super low, and Juju can be forced to use Transcendence right here. Garcia is going to be in a rough scenario right now, but the bright side here is even though you're losing bodies, you do get out a substantial ultimate right there. Unfortunately, though, it's going to be a slow burn.
It's a very, very slow burn, a team kill there as well. Yeah, you get rid of that Transcendence from Juju, so that does open up a lot of other stuff here for you now, but you have to be trying to find something right now. If you're Tio Cola, you have to find the first pick, and hey, if you find Juju, that's been a good first pick for you. It's led to a lot of team fights, especially back on Lijiang Tower. Deadeye, though, here for Poke. You need this to be able to find one. You just need some good opening here if you're Tio Cola. You cannot afford to go down one here early on.
You cannot in the slightest right here, but we're going to see right now Poke going to get taken out. Tio Cola just struggling immensely. Salad going down does open up the door a little bit right here. If you want to go in the 4v4, I would not blame them at all. But instead, the moment there's even a slight bit of momentum. They throw down the gauntlet of ults, and Silva just gonna be pot-shotting away. Bob indeed did nothing, as they're gonna use Transcendence, and unfortunately Teocola is becoming extremely desperate to try to make something happen here.
Oh, wait, but they find Skies right there, so you have your opportunity right now if you're Teocola. Juju out as well. 3 people on the cart, and just try to make sure you're keeping some space right here. You have an opportunity. All you need to do is win about one more good team fight. Really, honestly, you don't need to even win a team fight here. You just need to find out one person.
Yep, and Salad hanging around, does have that blade, only really gonna be an immortality field to really keep them alive in the situation right here. Garcia is gonna have to start playing a little aggressively, essentially set up for that Terra Surge. As we see right now, looking to slowly move in, wants to see if he can push them away and something get away with not having to use it right now as the Deadeye. Gonna help get rid of Salad, gonna clear things away. Gonna basically dedicate that all to getting rid of Skies. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite do that right here, so this needs to be an all-out attack to push through, make it happen right now. Bo is gonna have to be the one to try to keep this alive though, but with 1.5 meters away is 1.5 meters too short, as unfortunately, this is gonna be a watchful fight, and now we are very much in final fight territory.
Yeah, and I mean, 1Tricks was playing that perfectly there. The 2 healers were playing so far away that Garcia only had to focus on Sky, and that's all they really did. I think if Garcia tried to pressure that backline out a little bit, it would have forced a little bit of a peel back there from Skies, and it would have been a little bit of a different fight right there. But Juju's got that Transcendence online and pretty much carry them through that engagement right there. But 21 seconds left to go here. You're about to have a Transcendence, and you're about to have an Amp Matrix here if you're Teocola. You have the tools here to win, but you have to get through a Visor, an Amp, and a Terra Surge on the other side here, which has been something they've struggled with so far.
Yeah, and Garcia is already in a super rough position. Maya extremely low. Everybody is suffering immensely, trying to make something happen right now. Garcia pretty much goes on the all-out just to go and touch the blade, but unfortunately, a touch there will not be, and that is going to be a complete wipe here from 1Tricks, taking away Rialto, going up 2-0 in the series. And my God, if you look up the textbook definition of momentum decks, there's a picture right here of this map.
Yeah, and 1Tricks, they look like an unstoppable force at the moment. Teocola, I mentioned it, they looked a little bit lost. It seems like they want to play this playstyle, but they have no answer when they're basically, their own playstyle is running it down on them. It's a problem right here for Teocola that they really need to fix here going into map 3, because yeah, it's not a regular season match anymore, or the rest of the playoffs where if you lose map 3 and go down 3-0, the series is over. No, best of 7 here in this grand final, so it's first to 4, but you don't want to be staring down the barrel of your final map very, very early on in this series of map 4. Teocola, you have to make this next map pick the most important one of the series, because you desperately need a win here, because like you said, Hunter, momentum is all on the side of 1Tricks at the moment.
100% is, and now you're narrowed down to having to go to either push over to hybrid or the map type of flashpoint, which is honestly, in that situation, this might be a flashpoint situation where you force something really fast, make something happen, and just try to change the style completely right here, because I think at this point, the mirroring the Orisas is not going well. Letting Juju get away without having proper aggression isn't going to well. I think in this situation right here, you're not going to do much here in the poke battle. So I'm really hoping for this third map, there is an adjustment of that style right here. And I do think it does have to be a dramatic at this point, because if we just have to go into something like a Numbani instead, I'm going to be thoroughly confused.
Yeah, or I mean, we could potentially see something like a Saravasa here as well.
Yeah.
We talked about how important bans are. I think this has to be the map. If you're Teocola, you ban out the Orisa. Both teams want to play it, but you need to get 1Tricks off it here just to see what else that Skies really has here. You want to get them off it just to do that. And yeah, it's gonna give their own tank a little bit of a problem here as well. It's gonna give Garcia a little bit of a problem, since that's the only tank we've really seen them play. But you need to get rid of the Orisa here. Yeah, you might be saving it for later down the road, but I mean, if you lose this map here, you will only really have one more life to live here, and you really don't want to get rid of it that soon. But I mean, whatever the next map is going to be, it has to be one. And I think right now, if you are this Teocola squad, you have to be trying to bring us to a dive map. You have to be bringing us somewhere where the Orisa will really, truly struggle. And I mean, 1Tricks banned out the D.Va there. That might have been what Teocola wanted to play, but once it was banned out, they just probably settled back down to saying like, okay, we're gonna run the Orisa here.
Yeah, because obviously the fact that these teams got to face each other super recently means that they have some idea as to what they want to be able to play here. And actually, I'm going to go back and look at what these maps were, because I'm very curious as to what the original selections were on their previous matchup, because they did go to Lijiang where... Oh, go ahead, be my guest.
Li Zhang and Watchpoint were actually our first 2 maps in that series. So a dive map really did win Teocola map 2. Then the next 2 maps were Survasa and King's Row there as well. And then the final map was Runasapi. So again, I mean, a little bit of mixes there when you look at the maps, but the dive map of Watchpoint Gibraltar really did give Teocola a great advantage early on in that series. But Hunter, we do know what our next map will be. And I think it's music to our ears here saying that we need to see Teocola bring us to a map that the Orisa really won't find a lot of value in, at least in the first part of it. We're going to be heading to Hollywood for map number 3.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I like that we are going full on to this dive situation right here. And I really hope this is where the momentum really starts to go in the direction of Teocola. At least if you're hoping to have yourself a long series and enjoy yourself with a couple hours ahead of you, I mean, that's what you really want to see in the situation right here. But when you're in the situation, we come back to the same conversation that I started back at Rialto. Is this the time where you decide to pull the trigger on the Zenyatta here? Because just because it's dive now doesn't mean Zenyatta isn't useful. You could 100% still get away from running something like the Bap Zen. You could get away with an Ana Zen like they had previous times right here. So I'm curious if they're going to pull the trigger now or wait on it, because getting rid of the Zen now means you can still get rid of the Orisa later on down the road. So if there's a time for them to pull the trigger, I would really hope it's now.
I mean, we'll see when those bans come up here, but if you're 1Tricks, I mean, let's talk about what 1Tricks could potentially ban out here while we're on the subject of bans. I mean, they're going to have second bans no matter what. They're gonna have second ban no matter what here. So let's say Teocola goes with that Zenyatta. It leaves a tank and a DPS here to be chosen. I mean, Divas, you can't ban them out again. You have Winston there. You can go after a DPS character. Who would you normally or really expect 1Tricks to kind of focus on here if we do see a support ban out from Teocola?
Honestly, if you're getting rid of the Zenyatta, one of the characters that I think I saw earlier on, I think Poke had a lot of effectiveness on, is that Genji in the situation right here. I think that you probably want to get rid of the ability to have carry potential in a lot of these fights, because without that scenario, it's a lot easier to blade into something like an on a brig as opposed to a Bap Zen, because if that Zen hits Transcendence, it's like you didn't even ult. You are done. You are cooked. Even if a brig rallies, you could still technically win that as a Genji with a Dragon Blade. But Dex, we do know what these bans are going to be. If it's Zen Genji, I'll be very happy and very impressed with myself. However, I have been wrong too many times in my life to have a sliver of hope.
Well, Hunter, I can at least give you some good news. You're half right. You're half right here. Our bans are in, and Teocola gonna be banning out the Zenyatta. 1Tricks on the other side gonna be banning out the Tracer, which, I mean, does make a little bit of sense here. Tracer has been a hero that we have truly seen Patriotto want to play throughout this series here, and it's been something that they've been able to find a decent amount of value. It won them that second point on Li Zhang Tower, just with a couple clutch kills there towards the end of a fight and a pulse bomb stick as well. I mean, the Tracer is a very, very good ban here, especially if you are expecting to see dive come out.
Yeah, I can understand that very much so. At the same time, though, my perspective on this, the fact that the only map types remaining are indeed Flashpoint and Push, I think are two map types that service the Tracer extremely well. I think maybe a bit more than this right here. So it's not going to surprise me in the slightest if it ends up being just a Genji Soj DPS duo now at this point. Obviously, you can make the same exact argument if you got rid of Genji. It's like, oh, we leave the Tracer wide open. You know, there's not really a perfect pick for 1Tricks in this situation right here. You're just trying to get rid of a character that has carry potential, and that pick exists within Genji. And honestly, that pick also exists within Tracer. So for them, you hope it works out in their favor right here. Once again, same 10 players going to be starting once more. Both teams confident that this is the 5 that can get it done.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised we're not seeing any subs come out from either one of these teams, especially Teocola. I mean, they have subs. They've been really good all season long. 1Tricks, they have a decent number of subs here, 4 to be exact. So again, like you said, these 10 players, both these teams have a lot of confidence in them here. But if you are Teocola, this map becomes the most important map of the series now, and you desperately, desperately need to get a good result here. Even if you lose it, at least have it be very, very close. But right now, it's going to be very, very important to see what Teocola comes out here on the defense. And they're sticking with the Orisa here. You do see Poke coming out on the Torb, which I don't absolutely hate. You see it on the other side as well. I mean, if you're expecting dive here, Torb is a very, very good option. And without the Zenyatta's here, you see it there. Maya already going back over to the Brig. Rock on the Juno here. I like this backline, especially if you're trying to run maybe something a little bit anti-dive. 1Tricks, on the other hand, I'm going to give them a couple more seconds before I talk about that support line of theirs there. But Skies on this Doomfist. Hey, I talked about dive tanks we could see. Doomfist was not one that I did. That was one that I did not mention. But they can cause a lot of chaos, and that might be exactly what 1Tricks is trying to do here. Not heal going over to the Juju on this, or on the Ana. I really like this comp here from 1Tricks.
Yeah, Patriota kind of getting hit with the jump scare there for a moment with the TP. Almost right in front of their face right now, but you want a strong opening right now if you are 1Tricks. You don't want to give up any momentum that you had previously claimed before. And Patriota, pretty much on their own, gets slammed away into non-existence right now. Is everyone going to rally together in a corner right now? Everyone getting punched into it as well right now. But a lot of sustainability when you have something like a Brig Juno right here. Garcia just has to kind of play around right now. Because remember, you could give up a tick or two. But right now, not particularly interested in doing so, as Skies just wants to try to end this thing right here and now. But Dex, opportunity is still very much here for a retouch.
And what did I say about this Doomfist? It's all about creating chaos, creating space, and Skies is doing an excellent job of that so far.
Yeah, right now, gonna have a bit of a big punch coming through right now as eventually bodies have to go force a touch right now, 95%. It comes to right now, turret in the corner, 98% now, 99 nearly right now, but it is eventually just simply gonna fall over and be given up right now as everyone else from Teocola gonna have to back out, take the reset. Unfortunately, a reset not in the favor for most of them.
Patriota will find one, though, but that's going to be really the only thing that Teocola gets that entire fight in. I mean, if you're Teocola, you have to do something differently here. I mean, you already see Skies up here on this high ground. Basically, Garcia's not going to be able to get up here. 1Tricks is going to have the high ground pressure this entire push. You see Garcia trying to get over there to the elevator, but, I mean, what's going to stop it from being immediately punched down just like that? Over and over and over again. You need to have a different plan here.
Yeah, eventually going to take it over momentarily before the fact this guy simply just jumps back up, knocks out the Brig, and Garcia's just being kept away from heals entirely. And they're going to do it again! It is a rinse repeat, is the definition of insanity. Ladies and gentlemen, Sky, though, likely going to use the ult right here to sustain, get all that health back. He's going to be jump onto this support dude right now, going to slam down, trying to find something big right now as they're taking a ton of damage into that block, which means they're going to get that power punch over and over again as Sky's gonna get rid of Poke inevitably. While their ults are on the table right now, it'd be very dangerous to engage, but yet, here it is. They're going for it with the power punch of the Nano and Dex right now. It is a really important fight as they are dumping into it.
And right now, Teocola, they are investing. They need to find a lot of picks here. Get rid of Skies, and this fight is probably over, but Skies doing a good job at keeping themselves alive. That's been one thing that's really impressed me with this tank player for 1Tricks these last couple maps, just their ability to get themselves out of very sticky situations, just like that right there. Able to keep themselves up, but finally, Teocola, they got that one pick there, and 1Tricks is backed up. They're giving themselves a little bit of a breather here. You have a Terror Surge, you have an Overclock. You're in a really good spot at the moment, but still, you need to find the advantage here early on. That's been one thing that 1Tricks has been able to do consistently so far throughout this entire series.
Yeah, 100% right now, but that Blade and that Rush can be online for 1Tricks right here. So if they want to simply go aggressive with just one of them, they could. Hell, if you wanted to go double as aggressive right now, go with both. The option is there right now. Rock gonna get hit with one, trying to find the dash onto another right now, and Salad getting all the backup in the world to get this thing going, and now fight went in their favor, but they need to clean up, and more importantly, need to get that cart a-rolling.
Yep, so team fight win there. We are going to get a little bit of a pause here. We know the reason one of the hand cams for the players disconnected, so they're going to get that back online here very quickly. But, I mean, Hunter, it is exactly what we saw in Rialto all over again here on this push phase. 1Tricks is just kind of winning fight after fight after fight. Yeah, Teocola was able to find one pick there in the previous engagement, forced 1Tricks to fall back for a brief moment, but that was really the only stop we have truly seen from 1Tricks here in these last two maps. I mean, Teocola, they need to make some swaps, and they need to make them maybe about a fight or two ago. Like you said, on Rialto, they had the opportunity there to try something out there just to see how it would work. You might need to be doing that now, especially if they get 0.3 with a large time bank.
Yeah, 100% right now. And if you are in a reset going into a Doomfist in that situation, you have to be dedicating yourself to pretty much every time they come in. Unfortunately, that's what you have to do. But you have to save that spear for that block every single time. And we've seen situations where, unfortunately, Skies gets a bunch of charge into that block, and that way their power punches go through. They're getting a lot more effectiveness, and with taking so much attention, you open up the door for your DPS to go in and start getting all this effective value as well. So, I obviously I think the biggest adjustment I think we probably do want to see here is the Orisa in the situation. I think it has had its moments 100%. But I think after this point, especially when you go into a map that very much calls for poke/dive, you're on a character that I don't think meshes too well with what you probably should be trying here.
Yeah, and third point defense or offense is where I always talk about on this map, kind of changing over from that poke kind of play style more back to a dive, or my bad, a point three. You go away from the dive, you go over to a poke brawl kind of play style, and that might be what Tio Cole is trying to play for here if they do not hold them, if they do not hold 1Tricks to that second point. If they get in that third point, the Orisa might be able to find a lot of value. You might even see Skies have to get off of the Doomfist, just not being able to find as much value. But right now, like you kind of said, Skies has been able to just kind of do whatever they want. I mean, they are holding that high ground pretty good, and it was time after time again, like you said, the definition of insanity. You cannot just continue to go up an elevator where you know the moment you step on that floor, you're going to be punched back down to the ground. I mean, right now, 1Tricks, they are controlling this series, and Tio Cola, the #1 overall seed, won mid-season, only lost one time in the regular season. Again, to 1Tricks. They seem kind of lost at the moment. 1Tricks has been so far the only team to consistently, it seems, make Tio Cola look beatable here.
Yeah, that's really the unfortunate situation for Tiakola right now. A team that has found momentum multiple times against this 1Trick squad, but has never been able to outright fully shut them down. They can come away with these wins, but a 3-2 is wildly different from a 3-0, obviously. So at the end of the day, I'm hoping the adjustments can come through for Tiakola for the sake of them being able to get some momentum on their side here. Because again, at the end of the day, it's going to be very much a Rialto situation where if you let them cap this with 3-4 minutes on the clock, you're left with another situation where it's like, all right, time to test things out and see what happens. Because Dex, they have pulled the trigger on the Zen now. If it does not work here, that Zen, regardless, is going to be available for the rest of the series after this. But at the very least, if you get the map win, you get some value out of using that ban earlier on.
Yeah, and I mean, it was also the same kind of ban we were talking about, or same kind of situation here with the Orisa ban. I mean, we were potentially wanting to see it from Tio Cola on this map, but we both kind of agreed they weren't going to do it. Mostly a dive map, and they really want to see them play the Orisa. Now that we're seeing Skies on this Doomfist, it makes it very difficult to say, okay, we're going to go ban out Orisa because Doomfist is there, and if you ban out the Doomfist, then we're going straight back over to the Orisa that we have seen Skies just kind of dominate on throughout this entire series. But I mean, let's not talk about next maps coming up here. Let's still focus back in on this map. Tio Cola finally was able to get something there. They were able to slow him down for a brief moment. Yeah, 1Tricks came right back and got a team kill. However, that card backed up a pretty decent amount. So there's still going to be one more engagement here from Tio Cola if they truly want to take it. And my feeling is they honestly should. They need to at least try to force out some ultimates from the other side. And they probably have some ultimates coming up here as well that they could invest into this upcoming fight.
Yeah, by how far back that cart was, honestly, there's plenty of time to set up a re-engagement in this situation going into this one. In fact, I'm going to go double check what those alts coming up online were, because I'm actually extremely curious as to what it was, because we know they used the blade in that situation, but we do know that Tio Cola is still going to have both the me forgetting alt names. That's a lovely change of pace. Either way, it's the Terra Surge. And it's the Sojourn ult. Sojourn's ult is so easy to remember. Yeah, I feel dumb today, ladies and gentlemen. But those are, I mean, they're two fairly good ultimates. But the problem is, especially if you're Garcia, you have to try to find this backline with it. At the very least, find Juju on that Ana.
Yeah, and Juju has been a problem all night long. We've highlighted it, and we've highlighted Juju for their excellent play in the Ana now. I mean, they're off the Zen. The Ana is just as scary here. But like you said, Tio Cola does have the overclock, does have the Terra Surge. You try to combo those up here, try to get them in, pull in with the Terra Surge, and try to hit the overclock a couple shots there, try to find a lot of value. It seems like, though, everyone, hand cams have been resolved. We will be heading back in here momentarily. And Teocola, like we said, should try to take one more fight here. They have some ultimates, but you look at the other side, 1Tricks, they're about to have that, the Nano, they have Kitsune, they have the Meteor Strike, and Garcia, they make the swap over to a Diva here. There goes that Terror Scourge, but they're not that far away from a Blade here. However, it's going to be a very uphill battle now for them, but look, Sky's already trying to back up here. The Diva pick from Garcia might just be enough to force 1Tricks into spots they don't want to be in.
Yeah, I'm just gonna send it away as Patriota right now. Unfortunately, there is no one decided to stick around in the ballpark right now. Maya's being taken down. Brock not too far behind, and Patriota are gonna get 0 value out of these ultimates. That is that's a bit of a worst case scenario. I love that Garcia's made the swap and somehow has already got it up to almost 60% charge, but unfortunately, at the very bright side, they get to die on the point, which means they get reset very quickly and no staggers. But I'm just happy there's an adjustment, but 1Tricks didn't really use anything outside of that rush, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, 1Tricks, they played a very smart fight there. They heard that overclock come out from Patriota, and it's completely backed up. Played on the high ground, backed up a little bit, and you saw Skies, they were focusing in on someone throughout that entire fight, so there was really no one for that overclock to really find a lot of value with. But like you said, Garcia already 30% to a bomb. Poke does have their own Blade here, and you need to be able to find something with it, but Patriota, well, we'll see you next fight.
It's a really unfortunate way to go down, and maybe not too far behind is Poke, who's going to be able to get out for the time being right now. A power punch is around the corner, which Trick, I mean, you can just hold on to that if you're Skies. You're obviously in no particular rush right here. Going to send it into Garcia. Going to get some more and more charge, trying to work towards another one right now, but Nano's going to come online onto the back of Silva right here. The overclock going to be used right now. Salad actually has been taken care of first and foremost right now, and oh, poor Maya not in the place you want to be right now, but we'll be able to back up. We'll be able to get back to their squad. It looks like eventually it will be another fight win for Teocola, stopping the momentum once more, but Dex, there's still nearly 3 minutes on that time bank.
Yeah, but you just start to build the momentum right now if you're Teocola. You got one fight win here, you force 1Tricks back. You got them to use a couple ultimates as well, and didn't really find a lot of value. The Nano overclock normally is a scary one to go into, but look at Teocola now. Bomb, Blade, they have a terrorist, or the Orbital Ray coming up, and they're not that far away from a rally. They are in a really, really good spot. They can just not afford to lose someone on that support line very early on in this engagement.
Yeah, and you see right now Garcia being constantly tested over by Skies, who's going to go in, try to have this back line a little bit of a rough situation. I think he's trying to force their way out for the time being right now. I love the peel that's coming through as well, as Poke does need a little bit of care to get things going. The nade not finding a whole lot from Juju's. Juju does end up going down, which means, unfortunately for 1Tricks, they have to back out here, simply surrender this fight, as long as Garcia doesn't have to sacrifice the bomb like that.
Oh, but
what?
Not heal had to swift step into them to try to keep Skies alive. Blade coming out from Poke in that backline, gonna be able to find two. A little bit of a costly fight there for Teocola, but they win it. Yeah, you would love to have the bomb, the Blade found value, but look, you have an Orbital Array, you have an overclock, and you have a rally here. You are in a very, very good spot, but 1Tricks, they knew they had this time bank. Look at what they're doing here. They're building up all 5 ultimates. They know Teocola just invested 2, so they know they're gonna have a slight ult advantage here momentarily.
Yeah, but the thing is, at the end of the day, you have the rally to stop the Blade, you have the Jitter ult to stop literally almost everything. It is that strong of an ultimate still here in 2025, and now gonna see what's gonna find right now, because Salad gonna have the opportunity to Blade here very shortly. We know the time bank is gonna be below a minute, though, as Poke is gonna be taken out immediately. Patriota forced around right now, but Patriota does manage to get rid of one in the backline right now. Everyone has to try to play around. It's just Garcia and Rock still playing around. They have to try to find at least one target to give themselves any viability to pull this one back, and that starts with Garcia dying on this point right here. Will eventually do so. Maya can be able to come back with the rally for potentially one more touch right now. Poke there is gonna be able to get the first right now, has the deflect right now, gonna get pushed away right now. Bodies are coming back to basically have Poke gets deleted. Unfortunately, Patriota, though, there to keep it alive, has 2 right now, looking to get a third as Juju and Not Heal trying to help out Skies, but Patriota, the hero of their squad, gonna keep their chances here alive and well.
And Patriota with 4 right there, and 1Tricks, they invested all 5 ultimates in that fight. Teocola, yeah, they had to invest ultimates in that fight, or else they would have ended up losing there. But look, Garcia not that far away from a bomb. Rock and Poke making some swaps here. The Onyx is out here. I like this. Poke going over to the Bastion. Interesting play, but for one fight, if it's something that 1Tricks is not expecting, oh, but Sky Soul, that's a huge pick!
so unfortunate for 1Tricks, and now Salad gonna go and try to find something. Garcia has this bomb. They do not want to get off this point right now. The overtime is here. Salad, no more deflect, no more dashes left on the board right now. Unable to touch the Bastion around the corner right now. Gonna try to drill them away, and ladies and gentlemen, we might have seen the momentum start to come to a bit of a halt here. They get stopped just before that final mark right now. So Tia Cola, if they can finish the map, they can get themselves back into the series.
And oh my goodness, what an ending there for Tia Cola. They needed something to go their way, and they finally got the break they were looking for. Garcia going over to the Diva was the main difference, but at the same time, you saw everyone else for Tia Cola find value with their picks. Patriota popped off. Poke had their pop-off play as well. Rock and Maya as well on that support line. They played safe. They played back far enough that they were just there to support the rest of their team, and that was a great thing for them. 1Tricks, though, that was the fall apart that I was very scared that we could have potentially seen there. They stuck with that Doomfist. It had been working out very well, but Skies, the moment they got shut down was the moment that Garcia swapped over to the Diva, because it was just something that was able to provide pressure. I think up until they made that swap, Skies had only really died, I think, once. And after that, they were dying every fight. I mean, it was a completely different thing there from 1Tricks, but it's exactly what Tia Cola needed there. And I mean, I feel like that pause really did end up helping Tia Cola out. And I will say this, it wasn't someone on Tia Cola that had the problem. It was actually someone on 1Tricks. So it wasn't a strategic, like a play there by Tia Cola. Tia Cola, though, took complete advantage of it. But coming out the gate, I love that Garcia is back on this Diva. Skies, though, over to the Orisa. Let's see how this kind of playstyle, this kind of competition is going into each other. Because remember, Diva was banned out map 1 here, or map 2, by 1Tricks.
Yeah, right now we have Iliar making their first appearance of the series right now. That healing pylon could be a lot of trouble if it is left untouched right now. But remember, you can put that in a lot of different areas, in fact, so it's going to be a bit of a struggle to touch it right now. But we're going to see Garcia cross over right now. Going to drop into it. Neverland, unfortunately, going to be pushed around, shoved around. Does have healing, though, to keep them alive temporarily. Unfortunately, though, being taken out means things are going to be really difficult to take away a fight win. So if you're Tia Cola, you're in a bit of a awkward situation for now.
You're in kind of a stagger situation where you really don't want to be in. Honestly, Skies knocking you off the high ground and finding Patriota out right there is actually going to help Tia Cola out. It's going to force him to back up here a little bit, but losing Garcia with how close they are to a mech right now is not something you want to do. Yeah, Silver going to be able to find them there. And now if you're Tia Cola, I mean, you had a high there at the end of that last round. You need to be able to take that momentum. 1Tricks slowly started to get it back into their control here, because look at Skies already. 93% to a Terror Surge. They're going to have that ready to go. Captain Stun also almost ready here for Juju. We're getting a pause coming out here from, it looks like, the side of Tia Cola, so maybe something going on with them. Yeah, it looks like Garcia has lost their connection to the server there, so unfortunate for Garcia there, who was really starting to impress me with how they were playing that Diva out there, but you might have been seeing a little bit of a small problem there in that first engagement. But I mean, Tia Cola, they really did show us something there. They need to be able to continue showing us something now, but they're going to be walking into a lot of ultimates coming into this next engagement.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know if they're going to see this Terror Surge even coming in the situation right here, because with there being no momentum, or not momentum, well, actually, that statement's not even wrong, no momentum, and really no ultimates on the board for Tia Cola here. When this Terror Surge comes in, there's not really going to be anything to effectively stop it. It should realistically get at least one person and stop a fight from even happening. So it's really just a question from Skies if they want to go aggressive and just shut it down then and there, or maybe save it for a scenario where it's a little more needed. Because, I mean, I think we've been there personally, Dex, where we get an ult really quickly, and the dopamine hits, you're like, we need to hit this ult because it looks really cool if we hit it early. But being able to hold on to that ultimate and be able to preserve it for what you may consider to be a better time and a more needed situation, you know, it's something you think about sometimes.
Yeah, that's been one thing that these two teams have done a really good job with when it comes to using their ultimates, is using them at the right time, especially with the Orisas. They've been using their Terror Surges to really force out stuff from the other sides. So that's exactly what I would expect here. They're not going to use it until they know that someone on the side of Tia Cola has an ultimate. But you could also see a combo potential coming out here with Juju not that far away from a Captive Sun. However, Garcia does have the potential to eat that. So you have to be very wary of that here if you are Juju, especially here. But Garcia, because they disconnected and came back in, they lost all that ult charge they got in that first fight. So, I mean, that's a kind of a huge blow here early on for Tio.
Yeah, and so I just thought they're thinking about it. They thought about it for a moment. Gonna think a little bit better of it now. So, Garcia has built up all that charge once again, but if Rock can just live for another 5 seconds, maybe try to build up to this all right now. So Terra Surge can be brought in right now. It's going to catch onto a whole lot of nothing right now, though, is going to send the Captive Sun in, going to find nobody, but Poke still goes down regardless right now. And the Juno Wall going to be activated right here, that Orbit Array, going to try to find some value. There's a lot of bodies sitting inside right now, but someone does inevitably have to die right now. We see everyone trying to best Patriota, especially, who's found 2 already, popping off to try to bring their team through this first point right now, and I think they've done so very successfully.
Patriota has been a difference maker here for Teocola this map, especially that 3rd-point defense. They were able to just pop off with their overclocks, and now Salad falling there by the hands of Patriota. Look at the swaps we see coming out from 1Tricks. Sky's going back over to the Doomfist. Looked great, not heal onto the Brig. We saw the Life Weaver for a brief moment, but Juju going back over to the Ana, which was causing a lot of problems on their offensive round. The defensive round, it's going to be a little bit more difficult here, as Garcia does have the potential to eat those bio nades. But right now, if you're Teocola, you have Poke going over to the Genji here. I mean, you are going to be able to actually contest this high ground now this time. The last round, 1Tricks was just able to continuously knock Teocola off that high ground and really force them in spots they just did not want to be. Now that you have Garcia on the Siva, you can see a little bit of pressure come out, especially with Poke finding that.
Yeah, now things are trying to get a little different right now. Silva does manage to find one, but with it being Patriota can get back rather fast right now. It's been really hard for Salad to live, and now it is just Skies who, full health, should be able to get out alive very effectively. So Garcia just has to kind of mind themselves and keep themselves alive.
And right now, Poke going to be able to escape as well. Garcia still holding onto a bomb there, which is huge, and you're not that far away, actually, from another Orbital Ray and a Blade here for Teocola. Sombra out for Silva, though. I like this swap. They want to just start to pressure out Garcia, and that's exactly who they get the first hack on, but you have a Blade here ready to go, and Skies not that far away from a Meteor Strike as well, so 1Tricks, I mean, 1 pick is all they really need here to take control of this fight.
Yeah, and you're going to see that come through right now. Going to run directly into the face of Skies right now. He's going to get forced out immediately, though. Blade going to come through right now. Poke going to get sliced and diced around right now. Salad thinking about going in for a second, but it's just going to think better of it. Simply play for the 4v5 in the scenario, but the rest of Teocola looks like they should be able to get out alive, but unfortunately lose Rock, and now they're going to be run down with the rest of them. Garcia, though, luckily, he retained the mech.
Yeah, Garcia's going to be able to keep the mech here, but if you're Teocola, you're not necessarily mad you lost that fight. I mean, look, you have Bomb, you have Blade, you're not that far away from an overclock, which Patriota here, especially in the last 5 minutes of this game, has been able to show us a lot with them, and an Orbital Ray is going to be huge there. But EMP for Silver could cancel out a lot. Sky still holding on to this Meteor Strike, and you're not that far away from both your support ultimates here if you're 1Tricks. I mean, again, just 1 pick changes this entire fight here for both sides.
Yeah, and you see Garcia's currently thinking about throwing that bomb. I could tell. I could sense the blood in the water right here, but gonna think better of it for the time being. Gonna go all out for the attack right now. Going to get hacked. Gonna be able to let go of the bomb at the very least. Everyone's gonna be in an awkward situation right here, especially if your name is Sky right now. Gonna try to get that away right now, but Poke has managed to get rid of one in this situation. Salad directly behind right now, and Dex is gonna start becoming a bit of a difficult situation. Maya sitting super low right now. Sky's giving everything to get rid of them, but now Sky's gonna use all to simply back out, re-engage one more time with the EMP.
And Skies just goes to safety right there. Not Heal will fall. You're going to see one more touch come out here from 1Tricks. No! They get denied! And now Teocola, 3 minutes here to win this first map here for them. Garcia going to be able to find Skies. That's not who you want to see fall, because Teocola can let those doors open, and they're continuing. They are bloodthirsty, Hunter. They are coming alive in this series in a moment where they absolutely needed to.
Yeah, now it's getting a little desperate right now. Is Silva going to be able to get out? This EMP fight is going to be important, though. It's going to find a lot of value because it's the only ultimate that is online on the side of 1Tricks by an absolute country mile. So you're going to see Silva hang around, maybe try to set up for this corner right now. Has a lot of bodies currently sitting around, but 1Tricks has to be ready to respond immediately. He's going to come out. He's going to catch onto 3 different members. Garcia, though, is going to be kept up, and it's essentially going to do diddly squat as Patriota again getting their team rolling 2 picks, and 1Tricks just falling apart at the seams.
3 members on the cart right now for Teocola, and the only thing they needed in that fight was the rally from Mia. Patriota has his overclock. They've been able to find a lot of value with it already this map, and I expect them to find a lot of value here again. Garcia not that far away from a bomb, and that might just be what you need here to complete this map.
Yeah, Rubsonar right now gonna be thrown up into the air right now. Gonna try to find something right now. Unfortunately, not getting a ton of initiative right now. Skies though, Rubsonario gonna be in the middle of the point, pretty much just trying to fend for themselves right now. What the squad is trying to support them to the best of their ability, but Patriota gonna be simply slammed away right now. Skies doing a really good job of just maintaining presence though. Poke though has gotten rid of one. Garcia there to help back up right now, and they're investing everything. The bomb thrown up in the air right now, just 1 meter away. And ladies and gentlemen, we can proudly say we have got a series on our hands.
And man, I came into this map saying this had to be the most important map for Tio Cola, whether it be the pick, whether it be they win, or hell, I even said if they lost this one, they at least needed to show us that they were alive in this series. Well, Hunter, they are alive, and they are more than just well here now. I think the Diva swap was something that was desperately needed for them here. Tio Cola looked like a completely different team, especially that DPS line as well. They started to pop off. They had their huge moments, and you started to see 1Tricks kind of second guess themselves here and there, and they just did not seem to be comfortable running anything, because they even got off that Orisa that had been finding them so much value in those first 2 maps. Went over to the Doomfist that got shut down when that Diva came out, and the Doomfist ran into the same problems time after time again, where the Diva was just able to pressure them out a little bit more.
Yeah, 100%. And I'd be surprised if Garcia decided to ever go back to that Orisa for the remainder of the series. But the one thing I want to touch on really quick before we go to this break is the adjustments that we saw 1Tricks try to make here. Because we saw the fact that they changed multiple times within that spawn, trying to figure out what to do, what to make happen. They swapped around pretty much every single hero around on that defense outside of the Doomfist in that situation. And at the end of the day, it proves that if they feel something's not going right, they are very eager to swap and make it happen. But at the same time, those adjustments didn't do a ton at the end of the day. So I think Tio Cola has some amazing momentum behind them. I think they have a chance to do something great here. But if I'm 1Tricks, I'm testing out what I want to go to next, what I want to ban next, and I guess, luckily for them, they are going to have a little bit of time, so we're going to cut to that quick break. A few minutes, we'll be back with our 4th map of the series, still yet to decide our South American champion. Who's it going to be? We'll find out after this break.
Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once more. The commencement of the South America Grand Finals going on here in CGL. And if you were here for those first couple of maps, it was looking like it was potentially going to be a bit of a wash, potentially a 4-0, but Dex, finally, we see a bit of life in Teocola, managing to take away Hollywood, making some swaps around, especially in that tank category, to hold on strong to third point, and then blitz through a lot of that Hollywood map, really showing that when they get their stuff together, they are a great team because they were the #1 seed, the midseason champions, for a very good reason.
Yeah, and honestly, hadn't dropped a lot of maps throughout this entire season as well. But one team that's been able to consistently take maps off them, well, it is that 1Tricks team. But 1Tricks, we started talking about it. They had a lot of momentum going into Hollywood, especially after that first round where they kind of got stopped maybe 1, 2, potentially even 3 times. And we were talking about like, hey, I mean, right now, if you're Teocola, you truly needed to do something. Well, they swapped over to the D.Va and they stopped 1Tricks dead in their footsteps, holding them before that final capture point on point 3, making sure they gave themselves a win condition, and they never really looked back from that. Yeah, there were some bumps in the road for Teocola on their own attacking round, but it just seemed like they were actually able to get over the humps there, unlike how they were able to do on the first 2 maps where those humps were a little bit too steep sometimes. But Teocola, they have given us a breath of fresh air now in this series, and especially heading into our 4th map of the night, the first map selection actually for 1Tricks this entire series here. Well, they're going to be bringing us to the push map of Coliseo.
Yeah, gonna make things very interesting, which means, obviously, after this map, you'll have to go to Flashpoint, but gotta focus on Coliseo right now. And in terms of what 1Tricks is likely gonna try to do here, what Teocola is likely gonna try to replicate from the last map, I don't think this is a bad choice whatsoever. I think this might be one of the better choices that you could play in the situation right here. There's a lot of great high ground to play around when you get towards the checkpoints on both of these points right here, so I think Soj can get a ton of value here. So maybe if you can get some momentum and shut down Patriota, you're able to do a lot of amazing things. And that Doomfist, honestly, I think could get a lot of value as well. But this is where the bans are really going to come into play because, Dex, we've mentioned it multiple times, especially really bringing it up while we were on our break. The D.Va has already been banned by 1Tricks here. So even if they wanted to, even if they thought this was the time, that option is since long gone.
Yeah, no longer here, but Teocola, we talked about this ban potentially coming out maps 2, maps 3. Well, they're finally bringing out map 4. And like we said at the start of the series, map 4 is when the bans become meaning a lot more here. And getting rid of Sarissa here, after you've shown that you can basically beat Skies on their second tank pick, I think this is a great ban here for them.
I think it's a fantastic ban. I think it's a good ban on both sides, quite honestly, in this situation. Getting rid of the Orisa in this scenario means that you're forcing them potentially back over to the Doomfist. And like you said earlier, the fact that they know they can beat the Doomfist with the D.Va means, hey, why not force it? Why not keep the momentum going? Try to make this a 2-2 situation. Now, the only thing that brings is when you get to Flashpoint, the Orisa is just going to be 100% open. It's probably going to be the viable pick for them here. But again, if you get that momentum, it might not matter a whole ton here. So with Coliseo, it is one of those maps where a lot of those important fights are going to be happening in that very center area where there's no high grounds to deal with. There are a lot of crevices, a lot of corners, a lot of tight areas to be able to fight away at a kind of scenario where I think a D.Va and a Doomfist can have a lot of particular value in if they decide to stick with those tanks.
Yeah, and I think that would be the kind of go-to here for it. Orisa's banned out. This would also be the time that we actually see another tank potentially from Garcia. If they're not going to come out on the D.Va, who's it going to be? I mean, it's going to be interesting to see potentially Wrecking Ball. Wrecking Ball can find a decent amount of value on this map, especially around. Zarya would be a fun shout, but we haven't been necessarily given anything that these two teams would like to play the Russian here. It looks like we see a Ramattra from one side and Garcia sticking with that D.Va here. I think this is the right thing for them to do. Play it until they are able to shut it down consistently. But one thing that we didn't really touch on before coming to this map was the fact that Teocola's DPS line as well on Hollywood really stepped it up. Patriota and Poke were able to pop off at multiple times there, shutting down Silva, Salad, and that backline. Juju, we didn't really say their name a lot in that second round on Hollywood, where in this entire series, Juju has probably been, for me, the MVP for this one here. 1Tricks has won a lot of fights because of Juju and been able to just keep themselves alive in a lot of fights because of Juju. Teocola, though, they are now a different team here, and 1Tricks, I mean, they have to try to seize that momentum back here pretty soon.
Yeah, 100%. I like that 1Tricks has gone back to very much a style where they can poke it away all day right now. And Tiakola doesn't have the means to be as aggressive melee. Yes, they can rush in, but the fact that Skies is going to be there to be able to stop people down, but unfortunately has to use the Nemesis form very, very early on here right now. Silva more than happy to give a body shot right to Poke, going to be able to force them back temporarily. As Garcia, I mean, Dex Garcia just not back up in the situation. They're constantly trying to stay in Sky's face and make it as difficult as possible to do what they want to do.
They're trying to pressure out Skies. They've really found something out on Hollywood that Skies not like to be pressured, but also the support line for Tiakola is just doing a lot here. Rock and Mia doing a lot here to keep Garcia alive and allow them to play as aggressively as they really want to on this D.Va, because a lot of times, especially with how aggressively Garcia is playing, you don't see D.Va stay in mech as long as Garcia already has.
You really don't, especially when you're being that aggressive into Ramatra, who can simply punch away right now. But Skies, up to this point, has had to use that form very defensively right here. And finally, getting more and more value. But Garcia's about to have a bomb around the corner right here. And more importantly, the support ultimates are going to be very important. Rock right around the corner from getting this orbital ray online right now. Juju and Nihil both a bit behind right now, but finally going to see him go down, unfortunately. And now momentum will start to get away as eventually Tiakola forced to back out and reset.
Yeah, and right now you're going to lose Poke, but if you can get Rock and Garcia out of this one here, which looks like they're going to be able to, you gladly take that. You cannot lose Rock, and now Garcia, just get out of dodge. Keep yourselves alive here. 5 ultimates about to be on the board here for, honestly, both sides. Actually, it's really about to be for the Genjis are kind of lagging behind the rest of their teams at the moment, but the Aftermakers out here from Not Heal early on. Wow.
I don't blame it at all. Garcia's pretty much screwed right now where they're at right now. Patriota gets essentially annihilated right now as Rock is going to try to respond right here. They need to find at least one body to make this worthwhile right now. Bomb gonna be thrown up in the air. Likely not gonna find any real value, unfortunately. It's not really up in the air right now, as Maya's just gonna invest. It's gonna manage to get rid of one, and Skies, in fact, is suffering a little bit, but it's gonna get that Transcendence behind them. I mean, 1Tricks literally has given everything in this situation right here, but at the end of the day, it hasn't resulted in the cap quite yet right now. We're going to see Juju in a rough situation right now. Patriota going to be able to go in and try to clear things around right now, but someone has to eventually drop. Juju will eventually but Poke is going to basically die to be able to do so. Sky is finally dropped, so 1Tricks finally going to lose up, but 52 meters, not bad all things considered.
No, that's really good. I mean, look how far they are. They're not that far away from the first point. And hey, Hunter, you talked about potentially seeing Zarya. Sky's going over to the Zarya now, and I like this pick a little bit better. They're actually going to be able to put some pressure back on Garcia and honestly on the rest of Tiakola here. But Blades are ready for both sides here. I would not be surprised if Poke is looking to pop it off early here, because one good Blade from them could get them the lead and maybe even those forward spawns.
Yeah, Sal thinking the exact same thing right now. They know the fact that Maya does not have this have the shield ready to go right here, and Poke's gonna go for it instead. Gonna get simply bounced away, and Martelfield gonna be brought forward, and Poke will at least be able to live right now. Silva though is gonna be taken down, but Skies is simply gonna run down Garcia with the help of Juju right here. So while they have momentum, Salad is gonna try to shut that down thoroughly right here and right now. Won't be able to get the supports at the very least, but Poke unfortunately cannot say the same for themselves.
Yeah, they lost Garcia early on in that fight, and that was what really hurt Tiakola there. You need that Blade from Poke, also maybe find one more. They did force out that Immortality field, but it wasn't going to be enough. Now swaps coming out here from Tiakola. Ramatra and Tracer back on the board here, and this was going to be something really interesting for me. Was what else could Garcia play? Well, the Ramatra out for them now. Going up against the Zarya, you're going to still be very, very careful going into it, but it has a little bit better of a face-off against it. Skies are just going to be able to win the fight consistently on that D.Va. Go over to the Ramatra. It's pretty even across the board. Once those bubbles get away, Garcia has all the momentum.
Yeah, and Juju, a bit of a rough situation. Juju, unfortunately, going back to the spawn room today right now is gotta see if he can chase down Skies. If Skies goes down here, this could be extremely devastating for the longevity of the next fight to come right now. And in fact, they 100% will. Patriota helping clear things out once more, as Silva gonna have to escape. And now this next fight definitely gonna be a big decider as to who's gonna keep the lead.
And I mean, hey, Poke going over to this Tracer was perfect in this competition. Skies immediately getting off the Zarya now, going back over to the Ramatra. So I would not be surprised if Garcia, once they get rid of this annihilation, goes straight back over to the D.Va. We might be looking at just a swap competition going on here. Overclock though coming out from Silva.
Yeah, gonna try to find something right now. It's finding some value, but no actual picks right now. Juju gonna be able to go in with that Transcendence right now, trying to respond directly back to Patriota. Pretty much throw it into absolute hell right now. Will be blasted down, but it's trading back and forth right now. We're only 5 meters away from a potential flip, and Poke has already got a 2K, helping clear things around, and with those right there, Salad is not gonna be able to one-man machine to stop this, and now lead will be taken by Tiakola.
Tiakola in the lead, and these forward spawns are all but theirs here. The swaps have been working out for them here very early on in Skies. Well, the Ramatra didn't work the second time around. Let's go back over to the Doomfist now. And this is going to be very interesting to see. The Annihilation is on board here for Garcia, so if you want to add on to your lead here, you can definitely pop that off here early on, but the Pulse Bomb might already have won you this fight.
Yeah, and that's already going to get rid of 2 right now. It's being a tough area right now. So unfortunately, if your name is Salad, you are going to be suffering from defeat at this moment right now as the lead going to be gaining more and more. We're sitting at 80 meters already. Going to be bringing up to 90 at the very least. And my God, Dexter probably going to be hitting that 100 mark very, very shortly.
Yeah, I mean, Sky's just trying to find someone there. Getting rid of Rock is actually huge. Rock's been able to do so much on that Juno so far throughout this entire map. 100 meters though right now, so they're down about 43 meters at the moment. Tiakola, because of Skies falling down to that low ground, could actually be able to add on to their lead and even potentially win a fight here early on.
Yeah, this is a rough scenario right now. Eventually it's going to have to go down right now, but it's trading back and forth right here because even if you're going to lose this fight, as long as you manage to stall it out and make this last a long time, that's an absolute win in your book right now. And while Poke does eventually get shot out of the atmosphere, they will be able to get the close spawns with the rest of their squad.
And there was a big part of me that really thought Garcia was going to go back over to the Diva with Skies on this Doomfist, but no, they're going to stick on the Ramatra. It's been working out really well for them, and it's been a very pleasant surprise to see that the tank pools here are very, very deep. It's not just the Aristas now. You are seeing a lot of variety now, but you already see the Overclock coming out here from Silva. They want to try to find an early team fight win.
Yeah, don't blame them in the slightest right now. You see a bunch of pushback, though, from the side of Tiakola right now. Silva eventually going to go down right now, Patriot, nearly giving their life to be able to do so right now, but will get healed up completely right now. Poke needs a little bit of that care as well, and it's brilliantly done right now. Rock and Maya doing a really great job this round of really staying alive, keeping their team's momentum flying and rolling. Tiakola getting just keeping it rolling, honestly. It's hard to stop them.
And the Vortex going to be able to find Juju out. Skies going over to, I believe this is now their 5th tank this game. The Mauga, seeing Mauga a little bit more in OWCS is not necessarily a fun thing for some people, but I like the play style. But right now, they need this Mauga to be able to find a lot of value early on, but you are walking into a full house of ultimates here in the Tiakola.
And now there's the all-out aggression right now. They need something right here, and they're going to triple down in the situation right here. They really want to get the Salad, though. Gets the lead, and Patriota ends up getting rid of 3. And unfortunately for Skies, they're getting close to being number 4. Poke, though, will take it away, and now 1 fight away from victory here.
4 ultimates invested there by Tiakola, maybe a little bit too much, but you have a Pulse Bomb. And if you can find not heal out, I mean, you at least get rid of that ultimate. Skies going back over to the Doomfist, though.
Yeah, and right now, a rough situation for Salad right now, who's going to be at 1 health, though. Consider Rush, though, is there. Not Heal will die to get it out there, but it creates a scenario where the team has a better chance of staying alive. Garcia, though, is going to eventually need some level of pressure. Poke trying to find somebody here, but eventually Silva finds at the moment. They peek their head out from the corner right now, but it's still the squad of Tiakola who's pushing back 2 meters, 1 meters, make it 0.08, literally right there, but eventually it'll come through. Tiakola finish with time on the clock, gonna tie up the series, and oh Lord, the momentum, how quickly can it swap?
Yeah, Tiakola, like we kind of said, halfway through the first round on Hollywood, they looked lost. They looked like they didn't know what they were doing. 1Tricks was shutting them down consistently. All they needed was one thing to go their way, and Tiakola looking like that team that won mid-season, only lost 1 series in the regular season, and has breezed through this upper bracket here, other than 1 speed bump against 1Tricks in the upper bracket. They look like the best team here in this region now. 1Tricks, I mean, we saw it there. I believe 7 tank swaps there for Skies. In that map, they were second, triple, quadruple, centuple guessing themselves. That's not what you want to be seeing from your tank player. And I understand you were just trying to find something that would work, but nothing was. And it's unfortunate because Sky's been playing an incredible series, but that map right there, you're slowly starting to see them lose everything they had in those first 3 maps, slowly start to fall away. But one other thing I wanted to just talk about here, especially from Tiakola, Poke. On that Tracer, when they made that swap, they were playing off angles. They were getting in that backline. They were causing a lot of problems, and it gave Garcia a lot of space on that Ramatra just to do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, it's really difficult to deal with it in that situation right there because in opposition to what 1Tricks are doing at the beginning of the series, playing away that poke and doing it in a way where they weren't necessarily drawing away a bunch of attention by sending someone on the back line. The biggest example would have been like Silva on the Soldier. It was simply a scenario where Skies was getting all the attention and everyone was able to simply go in and just pretty much pick off everybody else, or Garcia would simply just get punished for trying to go into aggressive on their opposing tank. Now in this scenario, we're flipping things around, where the DPS are just constantly being a fixture in the backline, causing people to have to turn away, and unfortunately Skies getting left defend for themselves in a lot of situations, and even when they're not, we have seen all the DPS of Tiakola start winning out their 1v1s in a lot of these situations right here. Something we weren't seeing on those first 2 maps really at all. So the fact that momentum has gone this way for them is extremely impressive, because, I mean, if you watch those first 2 maps, Dex, I mean, it would not be a very sound bet that Tiakola was going to bounce back like they have here.
I mean, hell, even a little bit of that first round of 1Tricks push on Hollywood. You would not believe us if we told you, like, hey, it's gonna be tied 2-2 after how that first round was kind of looking for 1Tricks up until the Diva swap. The Diva swap changed his entire series. It opened a lot up for them. And one thing that I kind of mentioned there was Juju has slowly started to get very, very quiet in this series. They were very loud in those first 2 maps. At 1Tricks won. They need to bounce back here in map number 5. And 1Tricks, well, they decided where we're going to be heading for our 5th map of this series. Hunter, there's only one more mode we could play. We're going to Saravasa here for Flashpoint.
Yeah, so Saravasa, obviously a map that does pair well to things like Brawl, but it's a little bit more open than its opposing map like New Junk City, where Brawl, I think, is very much king here. If you wanted to play a poke style, I think a lot of these points can benefit that style as well. So I'm excited to see what is going to be down in the situation right here and what the bans are going to be as well, because remember, there's already been a lot of selections. A lot of important characters have already been taken out, and by the looks of these bans here, the Genji and the Ramattra are going to be taken out, so stopping the Ramattra in its tracks. Tiakola, though, again, we suggested earlier that the last ban was to protect DPS. Do you think this is the same exact thing with the Genji here?
I don't think so. I think this is a slightly a target ban. I don't think it's a bad ban by Tiakola at all. We've seen both teams play Genji throughout the series, and both teams have found a decent amount of success, but especially after that last map with Poke going over to the Tracer, able to find so much on it. I mean, this isn't a bad ban. It's actually a very safe ban. You could still play the Tracer here. I mean, 1Tricks has already banned out the Tracer. So, yeah. I mean, the 2 heroes that have been causing 1Tricks a lot of problems here recently were banned out very early on. Actually, the first 3 hero bans for 1Tricks here have been huge problems for them here in these last 2 maps. Now heading into map 5, 1Tricks banning out the Ramattra. I mean, we did see Garcia play a really, really good Ramattra, but you still leave him with Diva, and Orisa is still there if they want to try to play that again here into this map. Skies, though, I mean, they really have to pick it up here, because Garcia, we talked about it, in those first 2 maps, Skies was finding everything. Garcia was struggling. The last 2 maps, it's been the exact opposite. Garcia has been able to find almost anything they want in Skies. I mean, I can say it again, 7 different tanks played in that last map, or 7 swaps. You don't normally see that a lot from any player.
If you see that, is because there is confusion as to what the answer is. And to be fair, that does happen in this kind of game where the answer isn't obvious. It's not always meant to be obvious in the first place right here, but you start a brand new map, you get to go in with a fresh set of ideas and an idea of what you want to start out on in this situation, Dex. And by the looks of things, it's no surprise at all. It's what both teams seem to be really good at, really comfortable at here. Garcia going to be over on the Diva, and without that Ramattra backup here, I'm curious if Garcia even has another backup tank here to really do, because obviously you don't want to see a Garcia drop back into the Orisa.
I mean, I want to kind of see what would happen if Garcia fell back into the Orisa here, because I feel like Skies has lost a lot of that momentum, and Garcia, they have definitely warmed up in these past couple maps, so it might be something where you see that. But the player that I'm really watching out for here on 1Tricks is Juju, back on this Zenyatta. It's been a while since we've seen him on the Zen, or no, we saw him a little bit on the Zen last map, but they struggled. If Juju starts off hot on this map, it puts 1Tricks back into those same kind of conditions where they were winning a lot of fights in maps 1 and maps 2. They need to be able to pick up the slack here a little bit again, because when Juju is kind of slow, the rest of the 1Tricks team is slow as well.
Yeah, I like the fact that Silva's over on this Cassidy, pretty much going to be dedicated to trying to shut down Poke in the situation. like the idea quite a bit to get things started right here. And for Garcia and Skies, can be a lot of what it has been right now, and is this endurance battle right now to try to hold on to the point right now. Skies, so getting every bit of help in the world to hold on. Force bodies back further and further, but Salad, though, having a really hard time poking around right now as Garcia being pushed back further and further, having to give up some battle lines. But at the end of the day, we're playing a big poke battle. Speaking of it, though, Poke going to get their team online to get things started. Point going to start in Tia Cola's favor, and 1Tricks going to lose out on everybody, and I think Sky's not going to be too far behind.
Yeah, and I like this chase down here, and Skies just missed that large health pack. I don't think it would have done anything different there, but I love the chase down there from Tia Cola, and they played that perfectly. Patriota and Poke were really harassing there, trying to get on off angles, and they found those first 2 picks. Look at the ultimate charge already for Tia Cola. Patriota and Poke, Garcia are going to have their ultimates here pretty soon. Skies will have a Terror Surge here, but I mean, right now, Tia Cola, they've been able to deal with the Terror Surge pretty well in the last couple times we've seen the Orisa out from Skies. But right now, if you're 1Tricks, the name of the game for them this entire series has been finding the first pick, and they need to be able to do that here and now if they want to try to make sure they have a chance to win this first point.
Yeah, 100%. Patriota immediately losing their head, though, as Skies has the ult. They're going to go in, send everyone, but Patriota immediately goes. They're going to jump in, has this full power right now, needs to try to find at least one body to make it worthwhile. Unfortunately, they burnt away, and Juju going to help get rid of the counterpart, and Garcia going to throw the bomb in the situation. Going to force bodies off the point right now. Going to be able to remake on top of that, so it is still a winnable battle. Unfortunately, they are surrounded from all sides. They're dedicating to different sides. Maya is going to invest with their squad right now. Garcia, though, going to be forced away. We'll touch one more time. Going to try to hide away right now, trying to jump back over the point right now, but this is an all-out investment from both sides. DPS ultimates on the board for 1Tricks as well, but it might not be needed as Maya is soon to meet their maker, and the rest of Tia Cola not going to be too far behind.
Oh, they got the touch right there. They'll be able to find the flip as well, and that was exactly what 1Tricks needed there. Yeah, the costly fight. It was a costly fight for both sides, but if you're 1Tricks, you're still going to have 2 ultimates coming in this next engagement here. Poke, you're going to have the only thing ready here for Tia Cola, but right there, like I said, they found the first pick pretty early. Patriota put themselves into a really bad spot in that corner, just put themselves, finding themselves out early on. Garcia invested that bomb, and the Orbital Ray had to come out right after that. And 1Tricks, I mean, you have ultimates right now that can be used for zoning potential right there, and that's probably what you're gonna have to use. Silver with his Deadeye, I would expect it to come out very early on, but the Pulse Bomb does get rid of that immortality field.
Yeah, it's some worth of value right now. Garcia, though, will be put into a bit of a rough situation right here, hitting from both sides right now. Maya, though, gonna get stunned, sitting on low right now. Patriota not too far behind, and it looks like it's gonna be a potential bad scenario right here. Silva gonna pretty much double down for the squad. The situation needs to find at least one. Gets the D-Mech here. Unfortunately for Tia Cola, it's gonna be a really rough one to be able to pull back, as Garcia gonna be taken out. And now we need a bit of a hero story from Patriota once more. Unfortunately, Dex, I think that opportunity has long since passed.
And I mean, honestly, I thought when they found Skies out, Tia Cola was in a really good spot, but the Deadeye from Silva was perfect. Garcia, without even knowing it, Mr. President himself for Maya right there, and it was just a big difference in that fight. If they don't do that, they probably still have the mech, and they probably end up winning that one there, but they get rid of the mech here, and now, though, you're just running to this next point, and look at what 1Tricks has. About to have both their support ultimates, another Terror Surge online. Yeah, Tia Cola is about to have a bomb and that Orbital Ray, but he is kind of decently far away from that rally, so 1Tricks has the slight advantage here early on, but they have to press that go button first.
Yeah, and they have a perfect tool to be able to do so within the Orbital Ray right now, but you can take your time because you can kind of wait for them to engage in, because Juju is undoubtedly going to use the ultimate. Garcia seeing Ghost, unfortunately, in the back line. Not able to find anybody there, and there's the immediate response right there, but it's a 2 ult use immediately right now as Patriota going to get it run, but Sky's going to help get rid of 2, and Garcia being taken out makes things devastating because, unfortunately, don't manage to get anything out of that remix, so eventually, while Tia Cola is still keeping themselves very much into this fight, I don't think it's going to be for a whole lot more. Silva's going to invest the ult just to be able to clear things out at the end of the day. I don't hate it, but at the end of the day, maybe you're going to want that a bit later.
Yeah, and at this point, if you're Garcia, I think we might need to see if they have another tank here that they can play. I think, okay, so we're falling back into the Orisa here. This is something that I wanted to see from them, and it needs to make a huge difference. But right now, you're walking into a Transcendence, so the Pulse Bomb from Poke can easily be canceled out if you find that stick on the Juju. But right now, Tia Cola, you need to be able to get something here first. 1Tricks, they've gone back to their ways in maps 1 and map 2, where they've been able to find the first couple picks on the key players for your side here. You need to be able to break through here early on. The Pulse Bomb, though, gonna get rid of the Immortality Field, but also forces out that Transcendence. That's not a bad trade, in my opinion.
Not at all right now, but now you're entering 1-fight territory. Patriota nearly getting their head taken off right now, but they're going to get plenty of care. Full DPS to go on from 1Tricks, which means this is just a matter of time at this point right now. doing a great job of keeping each other up though between Juju and Nahil, but unfortunately, momentum will eventually take its place right now. Sky gonna try to take somebody with them. It's not going to happen though. Point going to flip over, and now it is a question on the ultimate game.
I mean, you're only really going to have the overclock here for Patriota for Tier Cola. 1Tricks, you're going to have the Amp Matrix as well. If the fight goes decently long, you could see Terracers come online for both sides and even more support ultimates here. But right now, if you're Tier Cola, I mean, this could be a pretty dry fight here. You can't lose Garcia pretty early, though, as they're already starting to get chunked down here.
Yeah, gonna have to get plenty of care. Silva, though, has already used that flashbang, so not able to get the ability to kind of chase poke in the situation right here. So momentum, very important going into this fight right now. Garcia being blasted away. See, all 5 members look at Garcia, pretty much gets disintegrated on the spot, and now this is a tough decision as to what to do for Diacola, but as they've lost 2, I think the decision makes itself. The decision is to back out and play for the 3rd point.
Yeah, and that's not what you want to do here if you're Tia Cola. That's not how you really wanted to go, but you just have to. You cannot really invest anything into this point here into this fight. I mean, losing Garcia like they did right there was a worst case scenario, but not Heal played that perfectly. That Amp just came online and just melted Garcia. But now coming into this 3rd point here, one that Tia Cola needs. I mean, they're gonna have 4, not that far away from 5 ultimates, but 1Tricks, they're kind of in the same situation here. They're about to have 4 ultimates as well. That Transcendence from Juju, I think, is going to be the difference maker, but Sky is the Javelin throw, going to be able to find Mia out. That's not how you wanted to get this one going.
And for the 3rd time around, Pulse Bomb does go off. It just keeps getting rid of the immortality. As Maya is going to think a couple times about making swap. Going to settle over on the Ana in this situation here. And Tia Cola, they're just going to sit by and wait. I mean, there's no reason to force it. You just got to sit by and just play for your orbital array.
And you see Poke just kind of sneaking around. They know Salad's on that side angle. Silva's probably not that far away. Both of them have their ultimates ready to go. And Skies, they are starting to come back alive here. Like we said, coming into this map, Skies had lost that battle against Garcia in maps 3 and 4, but now in maps 5, Garcia, I mean, they've still been able to do good, but it just hasn't been enough for them. Patriot, though, popping the overclock.
I mean, you might as well try to find something in the scenario right here. You really need to break out and find a potential shot right now. Gonna see the slide out right there. Need to find it, though, as their Patriots are gonna get caught out. I mean, they haven't gotten a complete fight together at all since this point first got unlocked.
And right now, Tia Cola, I mean, I don't want to say it, they're starting to go back to their ways that they were playing in maps 1 and maps 2, where 1Tricks was just kind of winning every kind of engagement here, and it just, you need to quickly regroup here. You need to fall back. You're only going to have one more opportunity here, but 1Tricks, they're going to have a lot to throw at you.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to. Of course, he is literally dead before anything happens. And now, someone has to eventually force a touch on the point right now. The Tracer is already up at the full charge of it as well, and you're seeing them flip over. We're sitting at 97%. A touch has to be activated. It will be activated at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, they're just throwing the ultimates because they know this thing is essentially over. It's just bodies setting themselves to the slaughter, and advantage is going to go over to 1Tricks. Gonna put it on to match point here. And unfortunately, Dex, we got the answer to the question as to what happens if they go back to the Orisa. Unfortunately, it does not end particularly well.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That really is unfortunate here for Tia Cola, but I mean, Tia Cola can't ban out the Orisa, and 1Tricks can't ban out the Diva here anymore, or the Ramatra. So, I mean, the tank pool, I think, is wide open now for either team. Doomfist could be a ban you see out from Tia Cola if they want to try to force 1Tricks back into that Orisa for the most part there, and they could say like, okay, maybe that wasn't the best map for a Diva, which yeah, Diva kind of struggles there in some of the situations, and you saw them struggle there a lot, but I mean, Tia Cola, they had that first point up to 99%, gave it over to 1Tricks, and 1Tricks never really looked back from that point there in that map, and now so one map win away from being crowned your South American console open tier champions.
Yeah, and now things are very difficult to pull back in the situation for Tia Cola. But I think there are a couple things that are going to play into the favor here. One, with the fact that we have just finished off Flashpoint means every map mode has been played at least once, which means the map pool will reopen up entirely. I believe the only ones that are dismissed are the maps that have already been played at this time. So you could go back to any mode you want to. We just can't go and like repeat something like Rialto or Lijiang Tower. But this means you can go to exactly where you want to go in the situation if you are Tia Cola. And the fact that now, I think after this latest ban with the Ramatra, I don't know if there's any really key bans you have left on this squad. And even if there are, they're able to use this one in terms of protection if you really want to go down that route.
Yeah, and just looking back at the maps that these teams played in the winners round 2, I mean, Watchpoint Gibraltar and Runasapi, 2 maps that Teocola won in that series, still on the table here. If Teocola thinks they can do it again and send us to one of those maps, it might be the time to do that here. And especially with how Watchpoint Gibraltar is a dive map, and they've been pretty good on dive comps throughout the night. You know you can't ban D.Va. So I feel like the smart move here would be Watchpoint, in my opinion. But I mean, Teocola, they have a lot to think about right now because, well, we said Hollywood was the most important map that they had to pick. I'll reset it. This is now the most important map they have to pick.
We've come back to that situation pretty much full circle. They still have a fair amount of, like, how do I want to word this? They have this ability to get the momentum back, is what I need to say in the situation right here. It very much has to happen here, especially because, again, you're on match point. This is literally your livelihood on line right here, be able to win this trophy. And even if you get through the situation, 1Tricks does have the advantage to be able to pick that first ban in the map going into map 7 here. But you got to make it count. You got to focus on what's in front of you right here. I think if they were to go to Watchpoint, I think relatively it would be a correct call here. I think you could still go to other maps where you could get that Ramatra back into play that I think was doing a lot against that squad back on Coliseum. We saw that swap come through and pretty much became unstoppable after that point as well. So I think for them, it's the gamble of, do we want to go and force out a dive map here and then create a scenario to where if 1Tricks decided they wanted to go anywhere else, unfortunately, a lot of the maps that are remaining can very much play into a D.Va or a Ramatra.
Yeah, well, we're back into repeating modes right now. We do know what our 6th and potential final map of this series is going to be, Hunter. And we were both wrong of where we could end up going, or at least I was wrong. I thought Watchpoint Gibraltar would be the map. No, Teocola is deciding to bring us to Esperanza here for our 6th map of the night.
Oh, baby, does this scream D.Va to me in the situation right here? Ramatra, very much a viable character here as well, but I think if you're ever going to see a D.Va in this series, it's going to come out here on Esperanza. So I'm excited to see where that's going to go from here, because obviously D.Va can't be banned out in this situation. In fact, the majority of the characters that have been very useful to Teocola can't be banned out either. So for Teocola going into the situation right here where they have to have that secondary ban, it's become a question as to what 1Tricks really wants to get rid of here, because 1Tricks, honestly, the team that might have to worry about protection, because at this point, I don't know, after such a long series so far, what is really the big threat that can be actively extinguished by a ban?
Well, I mean, the bans are in. And honestly, Hunter, I think these were the best bans that both teams could possibly make here. Teocola gonna be banning out the Baptiste here. 1Tricks banning out the Soj. And I mean, these, in my opinion, these are incredible bans. Both teams have really liked to play the Baptiste throughout this entire series. Teocola, though, these last couple maps has been really focusing on the Brigida and the Juno and finding a lot of value on it. But 1Tricks been sticking with the BAP, found a lot of value with the last map as well. Basically won them that second point with a great amp matrix. 1Tricks, though, banning out the Soj. Who's been popping off with the Soj throughout the majority of this series? Well, it's been Teocola here. Honestly, it has mostly been Patriota, who's been a dead eye with Soj these past couple maps. And you look at here, we were questioning the bans going in the map 5. I didn't really expect to see a Genji because the Tracer from Poke had been incredible, but the Ramatra was very, very good. I feel like it gave Teocola a lot of problems not being able to fall back into the Ramatra. These bans in map 6 make perfect sense for both sides.
It perfectly does right here. It's going to force the uncomfortability of having to place a different support with your Zen if you decide to go back down that route, because we saw previously before that 1Tricks did try to pull out, I believe they pulled out the Ana Brig at one point. So I'm curious whether or not that was simply something they had to force in, or whether it's something they're genuinely comfortable running or not. But obviously, it's something we're going to find out very shortly here. Match point for 1Tricks. They could end this right here and now, or Teocola could bring us all the way to a dreaded map 7 where everything will be online. But gotta take things away here on Esperanza first and foremost. And Dex, I'll say it now, I don't think we should be horribly surprised as to what these comps are. If it was the D.Va and the Orisa, or even Doomfist again, it wouldn't be surprising at all.
Absolutely. But Hunter, one thing before we head into this map.
Ooh.
These two teams have played 3 times this season. The first one went 4, and it was 1Tricks that came out on top. The second time these two teams met, it went 5, and it was Tio Cola that came out on top here. Do they continue the trend? Does it end with 6 here with 1Tricks coming out on top? That would be a very, very funny way for it to happen, but 1Tricks sitting on map and series point at the moment, and coming out of the gate, no big surprises here. Guys, back onto the Orisa here, but like you said, this is a more D.Va map. D.Va has a lot more area to kind of maneuver, fly around. I think Garcia back on the D.Va is going to be something that really works out for them. Poke going over to the Cassidy, Silva back on the Cassidy. Interesting picks. And Patriota, I mean, that's a long spawn there. Going to be playing the Tracer here this time around. Sal back out onto the Genji. And again, I'm looking at Juju here for 1Tricks. They have been someone who on this Genji, on the Zenyatta, has been able to do a lot in those first couple maps. Kind of quiet here more recently, but they started to wake up a little bit there on map 5. And that's not who you want to see fall first.
Yeah, Maya unfortunately had a problem with the last couple of maps being the first one to go down, and 1Tricks have observed that fact very, very heavily. So for Maya here, it's going to be a struggle once again to stay alive, and 1Tricks are just going to try to keep taking advantage of that, quite frankly.
And they make the swap over to the Ana. I think this is a good time to make that swap here early on. Recognize that 1Tricks is going to try to play here. If you can get rid of Salad, hey, that opens up a lot. That gets rid of that backline pressure there. And Silver not in a really good spot. But, Garcia just a little bit too far, but will be able to actually find Silva.
Yeah, but does need care right now. Unfortunately, is getting absolutely 0 of it right now. Eventually going to go in with 1. Sky eventually going to be taken care of right now. So Bakas are going back the other way at least a little bit right here. But unfortunately, can't go too far in. Okay, maybe you can. I'm sorry. Okay, Poke, I didn't know who you were. Didn't know you were him. I'm sorry.
Poke had played an excellent Tracer back on these last couple maps. You have Patriota back on the Tracer, so Poke going over to the Cassidy. Remember, Cassidy was banned out first map here by 1Tricks, probably because they know how good Poke is. And Poke showing us why already has a Deadeye ready to go here. And every time we're on them, they are just clicking heads. But right now, Tio Cola, I like how this is playing. Oh, but the Spear Spin eats the Pulse Bomb.
You do not see that every day, ladies and gentlemen. A Pulse Bomb being stopped by the spin right now as Skies has momentum on the side, is going to have the ult around the corner right now as we're within 5 meters of that checkpoint right now. Rock being taken down makes things very difficult as Poke is really just waiting for someone to walk up top, but they're taking the sweet time because they realize they don't need to. And now, right now, Tio Cola needs to do a full back out.
Yeah, and I mean, they need to do it a little bit quicker than what they're doing at the moment. But 4 ultimates ready for 1Tricks. 4 ultimates about to be ready here for Tio Cola. Deadeye coming out here from Poke.
Nice.
You need to be able to find some value with it. Skies pops a fortify, the anti-throw on them as well.
Yeah, and Sky's never had a chance of surviving that right now. Deflect gonna get at least 1 shot right there. And we're gonna go back in though. Garcia has been taken out of the mech. Sylvia gonna manage to get rid of 1. In fact, he gets hit with the nano on top of that as well. This is a full-on investor right here. Juju can be forced to use the ult as well. And while this is very much going to be a fight with us, Silva shows whatever you can do, I can do better. While that is a fight in their favor, they did expend 3 ultimates to Tio Cola's 1.
Yeah, and if you're Tio Cola, I mean, you might give up the lead. I don't think forward spawns will come into play just yet. It might though. Skies will fall and they're gonna be able to get back. They have the Terror Surge. There is a blade about to be ready here for Salad, so you could combo those if you really want to. But I think if you're Tio Cola, you're gonna give up the lead here. But you're gonna come out and get a contest right before the forward spawns. Actually, no, you're gonna not even give up the lead. And Patriota.
Yeah, exactly what you needed right there. Gonna be able to push forward, and now you need to try to find Juju or Silva in this situation right here. Juju has been the one to be found. Juju has been the one to be eliminated right now. Terror Surge coming online. Unfortunately, it's Diddly Squad and Sky, and the rest of the squad of 1Tricks gonna be sent back to the spawn room. Rock, though, does end up taken out, but with that speed, it shouldn't be gone for too long.
Yeah, but I think Tio Cola here should be able to get the forward spawns, which is a huge play for them. They're still holding on to a bomb as well, but 1Tricks coming up on both their DPS ultimates here. But Tio Cola, I mean, they've been playing this map incredibly smart. They understand what is on the line here. 1Tricks, I mean, they're giving up forward spawns here, and on this map in particular, it's very difficult here. If Tio Cola especially just wants to play on that high ground, Skies, though, very low.
Yeah, I'm always scared for Sky when they get out in the open like that, because that is not the place you want to be against the squad right here. You want to keep playing your corners as best you can. Right now, Silva is debating using the ultimate. In fact, they're going to right now. Garcia is going to have to use bomb here in a second. Oh, but gets slapped out of it! Silva gonna get anything from that right there and sell it. In fact, gets rid of Patriota will pay the price at the end of the day as Sky's going to be pulled back in. Is potentially going to get deleted right now, but Bomb might have to be expended here as we thrown out into the air. Is it going to find anything? It's going to get rid of not Heal and Skies. Likely not going to be too far behind, and Juju gonna die on the card. But actually, no, the numbers game is actually playing.
It's a very awkward kind of situation right here. 1Tricks does have the tank, and it seems like Skies recognize that, so they're starting to take the bot away, but they want to truly win a team fight here, because if they do, they're going to be able to reset the spawn. Teocolo, everyone should be back in here, and it doesn't look like they're going to try to go and stop those forward spawns from getting taken away here, but halfway through this map right now, Teocola, I mean, they invested heavily into that last fight and didn't necessarily win, even though they found some pop-off plays. 1Tricks in a very, very good spot here in this next engagement, and if they win it, I mean, they'll have the forward spawns themselves.
Yeah, Tico has given up a lot of room to do this right now. Nearly gets rid of Poke right now. He's getting a lot of damage being thrown towards them right now, but Sky is waiting the opportunity right now. Going to throw it back in. Pretty much just going to try to solo Garcia, but Patriot, unfortunately, wrong place, wrong time right now. Is Salad trying to find something with the play. Not getting a whole lot. As Sky's pretty much got eliminated almost single-handedly by Garcia with a little bit of help right now. That Nano, though, while helping out a lot right now, is eventually going to play into the favor right now. Rock doing everything to go Bob. I mean, at the end of the day, doing a really good job of evading Salad in that situation.
And one thing I can say about this map so far is we've seen a lot of scrappy fights where it's been trades back and forth, really no true winner. Teocolo, though, has been able to come out on top in the more fights here so far. The sleep, though, not going to land, and not Heal falling early is not what you want to see if you're 1Tricks. Forward spawns back in control here for Teocolo, and now they're building up this bank of ultimates again. 1Tricks, though, going to have 3 here.
Yeah, this is getting to a very dangerous territory, especially with having a Deadeye and that orbital ray around the corner here. As you see right now, Patriota tried to go for right now. We're going to see it right now to get things going right now. Skies is going to have things very shortly right now, but they are investing everything on both sides to make this happen right now. Deadeye's not going to get a whole lot on either direction right now. Bong we throw up in the air, and poor Silva potentially going to lose their life, but will be able to escape. So now, no ultimates on the line for any more sides right now. Juju, though, has the Nano, and now it's simply down to their pure mechanics for this fight right here. As I'm going to see if we will pull it out right now, but for the time being, Teocola is getting forced back slowly, but surely, potentially.
A lot of ultimates not leading to very much of anything here for either side. You will get Garcia demexed here, so if you're 1Tricks, you gladly take that. Yeah, get Garcia off the map right now, and if you're Teocola, I mean, you really can't even contest the forward spawns being given up here. I mean, Poke and Garcia are going to be back at those initial spawns, and I mean, you have this lead. That's a good thing, but you might honestly be giving up the first point to 1Tricks here as well, which is not something you necessarily want to do. Skies does have their Terror Surge ready to go here, but Teocola outside the pulse bomb really doesn't have a lot here in this engagement. And yeah, forward spawns gonna be given up here by Teocola. So 1Tricks have given themselves a good chance here now with 2.5 minutes left to go.
Yeah, you see every time Garcia pulls that corner, Juju is very immediate to throw that orb onto them of Discord. So for the time being, Skies is waiting for the opportunity to go in with this Terror Surge, but everyone is making sure to play back on this high ground, playing for a prolonged fight in the scenario here, and that's exactly what you want from the squad, as Maya going to be forced around with the aggression right now. Silva, though, does end up getting taken down. Maya is going to give out that Nano specifically over to Garcia. Skies not even going to get the ultimate out here right now, so we're going to see the wipe come through. Salad, the only survivor currently, but unfortunately that is going to last for only moments longer.
And one thing I want to call out there, Garcia made an excellent play, just boosting into that backline and actually bumping Silva outside that corner, just allowing them to be taken out, and everything from there on out was just downhill for 1Tricks. Skies, though, now going over to the Diva here. 1:45 left to go. Deadeye out here from Silva. They're going to be booped away again.
Yeah, it's going to get nothing at the end of the day. This is going to be an unfortunate use of the Deadeye here. Perhaps a little too aggressive. Now forward spawns are going to be there. Going to not get the flashbang. Patriota very smart to get out of there while they could right now. But Rogue and Maya, rough scenario right now, trading back and forth. Now Sky's going to get forced out. Low on the DM, unfortunately. Low on the healing as well. Poke going to use that and is going to get rid of one right there. Going to get hindered out, but it will not matter right here. Juju getting taken care of. Bot going to move back the other way, and Salad once again going to be the last to fall.
1:09 left to go here on this map. Do the 1Tricks have enough here to win a team fight and then push it all the way back to the other side? Teocola going to add on to their lead here, 25 meters and counting. They have a bomb. They're not that far away from an orbital ray, while 1Tricks, they have a blade, not that far away from a Nano, and have the Transcendence, but there's going to be no Silva disengagement, and Garcia already antied out here.
Yeah, but Garcia managed to get that D enough to keep themselves temporarily alive right now. Gonna throw in the ultimate, so both teams gonna be able to sustain for a little while in this scenario. We're gonna dive in, try to get rid of the poke. Is going to be taken out. Salad wants to try to find one more of the sushi right here, but instead is simply going to play for their life, because from here on out, Dex, it is win or go to map 7 for 1Tricks.
What is Garcia doing? Goodness, wait, no, it's a perfect distraction. It allowed them to get back into the fight.
There's no way it goes down that right now, and Sky's being taken out means this lead's going to be extended further. 1Tricks will get another thing, but Salad is going to give up on that and go on to the May instead.
Interesting picks, guys. Does have a bomb here, but there's a part of me that thought they might have gone over to a Doom Fist here. Do we have any touchers? We don't have any touchers. We're going to a map 7.
Can't do this to my soul, 1Tricks.
Oh.
You can't do it. Giacola even went out of their way to push the bot all the way as far as they could have in the last few seconds. And still, 1Tricks don't manage the touch. In that situation, I'd be panicking and swapping over to Lucio or Kiriko or Juno, anything, to be able to get out there in time to get the touch, and it just does not happen. Map 7, and oh my goodness gracious, this has been one of the most roller coaster series I have seen in a very long time.
But you could not ask for a better series. Honestly, you could not. Teocola looked down and out in those first 2 maps, got a breath of life on Hollywood, won the next 2. 1Tricks came immediately right back on Saravasa and made it look easy. They truly did. They made it look absolutely easy there. Put themselves on the series point, and then Teocola, they came out here on Esperanza, their map pick, the most important map pick for them. And really, like outside of some scrappy fights, they won the majority of the team fights there. There are a lot of scrappy fights, like I kind of mentioned, where kills were being traded back and forth, thought everyone was dying, people were backing up. But Teocola, they played that map very, very smartly. 1Tricks, they made a couple mistakes, and they weren't costly mistakes a lot of times with how they were building up and how they were stacking on top of each other. At the end of that map, they became costly. And Hunter, it's even a little bit more costly when you get a C9 added onto it.
Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate situation of not being able to retouch the situation, but if you're 1Tricks, and especially if you're Teocola here, you got to lock on to the 7th and more than likely final map of the series. Obviously, you never know about ties, but 1Tricks has the distinction of being able to have the first ban and the choice of the map. But of course, Dex, they're going to get a little bit of time to make what will be the biggest picks of the entire series. Map 7 going to be on the way after this break. We'll be crowning our first South America champion. Who is it going to be? We'll find out right after this break.
Memories. Memories. Yeah. Memories. Memories.
And where we have seen momentum go one way, go the other. We have seen massive fails and amazing comebacks here. Bouts of momentum that seemed to be so headstrong and died only half of a map later. Dex, we have seen almost everything in this series right here. But one thing we haven't seen yet is our victor. And with this seventh and last map, we are going to figure it out. And my God, neither of these teams want to give this one up.
No, they truly do not here. And like you said, this series has basically given us everything. Dominations, close maps, C9s, players popping off, players struggling. There's not much more you could truly ask for here in the grand finals, and we're getting 7 maps. I mean, this South American region has been a fun one to watch throughout the entire season. These two teams, though, are making sure that this season is one that we will never stop talking about, especially this grand final.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you're going to talk about one of the best grand finals to take place within the season, this one 100% is going to come up into your conversation. But of course, we got to see how this 7th map is going to go, because Dex, at the end of the day, we do know what this 7th and last map is going to be. 1Tricks is the one to make that choice. They thought long, they thought hard about it, and they decided, screw that thinking, we're going to one of the most iconic maps in Overwatch, one of the maps that we've seen such legendary maps at. Of course, it's going to be King's Row to finish things out here today. And honestly, to start with Lijiang, to end with King's Row, it is very poetic.
Well, Hunter, I did say this to you when we saw this map come up. This might not be our final map. You could draw this one here. So don't say this is our final map until it is over. But hey, Lijiang was our first map of the night. King's Row is a very fitting end. If this is perhaps the end of this series, but bans. These are the most important bans of this entire series. And we've been talking about how crucial these bans have been these past couple maps. Well, this time around, they are going to be making a lot of, they're going to mean a lot. Teocola banning out the Doomfist here, and Skies has been able to show us a lot on the Doomfist tonight, but they've been able to show us a little bit more on the Orisa. However, I think banning out the Doomfist here, forcing potentially an Orisa or Ramatra duel, or a Orisa or Ramatra to come out from 1Tricks, something that they have shown us tonight that they can beat, is smart. Ana, though, for 1Tricks being banned out. We saw Anas be played by both sides, but Teocola, they've been able to find a lot more value with them.
I agree in that aspect as well, and I'm gonna say it right now. I think maybe 1Tricks just hates Maya. I think that's what it's coming down to here. Maya has been the most targeted person on the squad of Teocola. This is a targeted ban very specifically at them. This is not at all in Rockstar Rock. Is still going to be able to play the Juno here, and I imagine, unfortunately, Maya's going to have to go ahead and match the Brig, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Just Maya was finding a lot more momentum back on Esperanza, running the Ana, so curious how that's going to go. The Doomfist here, honestly, is just to take away a pick from Sky, because I don't think there's really any other DPS that you could kind of go to in the situation. I think both teams want to be able to play Genji. Teocola already got rid of the Genji earlier anyway, so at the end of the day, I think the super substantial picks went a long time ago, so at the end of the day, it's just a chance to see if with everyone with most of their picks back in working order, who is going to come out on top.
And these 10 players, give it up to them. They have played all 7 maps of this series, and they have been putting on a show, putting their hearts on the line here. You can tell how much this championship would mean to both these two teams here. Map 7, winner takes all championship on the line. Hunter, I mean, there are players who play sports and play esports who want to have this type of pressure onto them, and now they finally have it. Let's see who's able to keep their composure and who cracks under it. But coming out of the gate, Garcia on the Diva here. Not necessarily a surprise. Skies on the Orisa. This is kind of what we expect to see coming into this map. Juju back on the Zenyatta. I like it here. Mia, though. You talked about the ban coming out for them on that Ana. We're going to be much of a targeted one here, and much of a targeted one onto them. You see him currently hovering over the Iari, who we did see a little bit from 1Tricks on Hollywood, but they quickly got off it after they lost that first point. So it's going to be really interesting to see how long Maya stays on this Iari, if they're not just teasing us.
I think it's probably a bit of a tease here. I think maybe it's a scenario, maybe make the quick swap to Widow, maybe just have the pillar there in case they get hit a couple times, because Juju does a lot of Juju things, unfortunately, for the squad of Teocola. But I will be surprised if it didn't stick, honestly. I think Ilari is great for the defensive side. I don't think they're that amazing in terms of the attack here, but also Maya has to play something that isn't named Ana, and if that's not going to be Brig, I mean, you just got to figure it out in that situation. So I don't know. I think no. Go ahead, please.
No, I would think the Juno Brig is going to come back out for them. That's been something that has really been a mainstay for them in the maps they have won this series. I think we're just being teased a little bit with the Iari pick, but I think the Juno Brig will what we see that backline for Teocola be. But Teocola, they got to choose what side they wanted here in this one here. That's why you see the maps or the side swap for the first time this series. Teocola want to attack, which is something you don't see very often, but I always say it, when you choose to attack first, you have all the confidence in the world that you're going to be able to put up a time or put up a distance that the other team is not going to be able to beat. And I gotta give Teocola it. I mean, they are betting on themselves here.
Yeah, I don't really blame them in the slightest in the situation right here. And now what we're seeing from Teocola starts to make a little bit more sense. I think my being over on this Kiriko could offer something pretty nice here, being able to kind of offer support anytime to go with Petra or Poke. I think it's a scenario where obviously Garcia, if they get into a bit of an issue right here, they could get away with that. But I think honestly the most crucial member we're going to see here is Poke if they decide to stay over on this far, because there is a lot that can shut them down. But if they can keep Nahil and Juju in a very awkward spot, Garcia could get a door open for them.
Yeah, it feels like this is going to be a lot of just burst damage potentially for a quick engagement and maybe swap out something else. But Hunter didn't expect it coming in. Actually, no, expected coming into this series. Map 7 here. Championship on the line for both these two teams. And Garcia already very low.
Yeah, you can say that about a lot of members right now. Garcia, though, just getting deleted already. Is what it is. A couple of picks coming through now. The Poke is going to get rid of one. Is going to trade out at the end of the day, which honestly is not a bad thing at all, because the spawns are way closer for Teocola.
Yeah, they're all in attackers favor here, but Patriota needs to be able to get out. I'm surprised Poke is going to stay on this far, considering the other side has two pretty good counters for it here. But, I mean, you cannot afford to have Garcia and Rocket as low as fast as they did this first engagement. They need to be able to find some space and just get some pressure here early on.
Yeah, like that they're trying to stay directly into the base of Skies right here, because at the end of the day, Skies does need to be shut down. Gonna see Mortality Field be expended right here, so Poke gonna be in a bit of a fun situation right here. A lot of pressure. Juju does end up going down first. Silva gonna get pressure, and Garcia gonna try to give their life to take care of them at the end of the day. Looks like it's eventually going to work out right now, but with Garcia down and Skies up, a re-engagement extremely viable.
One tick, and we are getting a pause coming out here from the side of Tia Cola. I mean, they got a tick. Maya asking for the pause, so it's very interesting what's going on here. But hey, like I said, they got a tick. It's not the cleanest fight. You lose Garcia. You would really love to keep him in here. But one big thing that Tia Cola does not have with this composition they're running compared to what we've been seeing them run in the past, they don't have a lot of burst kind of healing. The Brig has been able to throw packs onto Garcia in the past just to keep him alive in a lot of fights. Yeah, you do have the torpedoes, but that's only one torpedo that will hit onto Garcia there with that Juno.
Yeah, 100%. It's going to be difficult to really make this fight happen either because, again, Poke kind of has to be your central fixture on this team. They're going to have to ideally play up around that little high ground area and try to just poke away and try to keep everyone from being able to kind of go up there and take over the high ground and try to just take that area away from them. It's almost a situation where Skies might have to be ignored entirely by Poke just so they can find somebody in the backline, because if that does happen, that should offer enough time for Garcia to get back into the fight, to go back. And I think if they get back and Poke at least finds a worthy trade from the support line, I think it's a very winnable fight for Tia Cola.
Yeah, and they need to be able to do that here because this, like, it's gonna be difficult. If you can find one more pick here for Tia Cola onto 1Tricks, you might be able to just get these get this first point completely. 1Tricks, especially with how they've been playing, they know when to back out of fights here. So if they lose one more, they will back out and probably just try to hold for arches. So that needs to be what Tia Cola does here. They need to just pushing the pressure on to 1Tricks, force Skies here to maybe overextend a little bit and put them into a spot where you will see Poke find a lot of value here on this farm. But we're back into the fray.
Yeah, Skies though is in a little too deep, unfortunately, as they're gonna get deleted. Now bodies need to start staying on this car right now. Try to get that ready to go right now. Second point very much going to be unlocked here. And now it's a question for 1Tricks if they want to engage without their tank. And the answer is very clearly no.
And like I said, all you need was one pick right there for Tia Cola, and you find on the Skies, they're just going to hold back for arches here. I mean, you're going to have Skies come back in right now and be able to hold. Ultimates are going to be online here, though, pretty soon. Not Heal has this damage, and they've been able to use it in the past. Very, very good to stop Tia Cola from making strong attacks.
Ooh. Yep, and we're to see that all be used very, very aggressively right there. It's not going to do a whole lot because that card isn't even around the corner quite yet, Dex.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a preemptive one there, and now you see Tia Cola coming right back in with their own ultimates.
Yeah, and Juju likely going to expend this to keep Skies alive right here, and 100% will right now. And Maya going down makes things difficult, but right now, if I'm Tia Cola, I'm not throwing anything else into this fight except maybe a bomb, in which case you're kind of screwed right now, as it's not really going to find anything here. So, I mean, your bright side of this fight, you regroup, and now you're going to get a ton of value off this Orbital Ray.
Yeah, but right now, I mean, Garcia's been using these bombs pretty aggressively. I would like to see him stop doing that, honestly.
Yeah, very much has me syndrome when it comes to bombs right now as Poke will get taken out, but just managed to get one in with them. Skies, bit of a rough scenario right now as they're going all out to throw everything in. Garcia is likely to be burnt away. Adventure right now is in the tank 1v1. Unfortunately, it's a lot less of a 1v1 and more of like a 3v1 right now. It's burnt away. Patriota got hide away, but Salad says, nope, back to the spawn room for you.
Policy for both sides are, though, basically every team used all their ultimates, and Mia getting off of the Kiriko here, going over to the Zenyatta, and I think this is actually going to work out a lot better for them than what Juju has here. If you throw that Discord Orb onto Skies, even if they fortify up, they're still going to be taking a large amount of damage, and that's exactly what you need to do here. Get rid of Skies, it will force 1Tricks to fall back, and that's exactly what they are looking like they're trying to do here.
Yeah, Patriota has Pulse Bomb online as well. Nahil is going to be very important here. Juju is going to be stuck onto it, and nothing with the Mortality Field is going to come into play right now. Patriota is not going to be able to get out, though. Had the blinks ready to go, by the way. It should really be worth noting. Unfortunately, it doesn't get out, and now it becomes a rough situation because Juju's going to be able to start coming back into the fight here pretty soon. Rough situation for Poke, who's eventually going to get forced around and just unfortunately does not get any support in that weird situation right now. So for Garcia, the rest of the squad, they're going to have to fall back.
And 1Tricks, I mean, that's a good kind of fight win for them there. Poke went a little bit too far. Patriota, yeah, they found the pick there on them onto Juju, which you really think would have led to more, but it just didn't. That's the sad thing about that. Salad being able to find them was huge, but right now, Tio Cola, you're about to have a bomb and an orbital ray coming up here. Not Heal does have this damage. They used it a little bit preemptive last time. You want to try to force him to use that preemptive here again this time.
Yeah, and you throw everything into Garcia, you get Assault online, honestly, because you know that Juju's not going to be there quite yet if you're all tracking properly right now, but Sky's doing a great job of making sure that Garcia doesn't get to do a single thing in this game, but they have the ult, they need to throw this in right away. Even if they are up in the advantage right now, you have to try to go for it here, but Patriota being down means that, again, they're simply going to back up, and I don't know, they just can't seem to get anything going yet.
That time bank is only getting smaller here, Hunter, and like I said, this is Tio Cola. Remember, they want to attack here first, and they had all the confidence in the world, but now that confidence is coming back to bite them here a little bit. Ultimates are going to be online for both sides here. You're going to see a lot. Probably all 8 ultimates that are about to be ready here are going to come out in this engagement.
Yeah, Garcia getting close to going low once again. Bomb going to be thrown in, and for Salad, rough scenario. Bomb's going to come out. It will catch on to Juju, so eventually it does find some value. Everyone's in an awkward room right now. It's going to be lights out for Silva, and now for Skies, likely not going to be too far behind as they're head hunting for everybody back there. But even with 3 on the cart, a recontestment, I think, is 100% going to happen.
Silver's behind them. Actually, no, it's Salad that's behind them. They don't have overclock that's ready just yet, but they could potentially get a railgun shot ready to go here. But I just don't think the 1Tricks come back out and contest this. And now Salad is in the most awkward position of all.
And Silva's dead now too, which means even if you've made the trade, you kind of just have to re-engage. You see the re-engagement eventually gonna happen here. Salad will go down. This guy's in a bit of a rough situation right now as they're gonna get forced back further and further, but we'll be able to get Carousel, should stay alive for now.
5 ultimates ready here for 1Tricks because everyone died too soon in that last fight. Yeah. Tio Cola, though, will have 3 if Patriota is able to build up to their own overclock. And remember what Patriota is able to do with this sojourn back on Hollywood. Basically be able to win fights on their own for their team here. I'm not saying they need to do that at this point, but hey, it would really help out Tio Cola.
Yeah, you just don't want to overall in the situation if you are 1Tricks right now. You really essentially only need 1, maybe 2 to make this happen right now. And in fact, a lot of bodies are already low. Garcia's already out of the mix. So honestly, go in. Maybe you just use the Terror Surge, but you really don't even need that. But without going down, you know, it's something. But it's just not going to do anything in the grand scheme of things.
I mean, Tio Cola, that's not a fight that you really wanted. And I mean, Garcia got off the Diva there for a moment to go over to the Hazard, then second thought that. Poke going over to the Cassidy now, but still 1Tricks, they're in the same situation as last fight. They have all 5 ultimates ready to go here. Tio Cola, I mean, you just need to throw out 1 ultimate to try to force out something from the other side at this point.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that answer is the orbital ray in the scenario. It's such a good ultimate right now. Silva is going to invest the ultimate right now. It's a rough scenario right now as they're trying to see if they can go around the corner. Maybe find somebody right here, but unfortunately, it's going to be nothing. But still have 4 ultimates up on the table. Garcia going to get DMAC'd, unfortunately, and now they just have to back out and reset. And I don't think Tio Cola has even really gotten a fight on this 3rd point so far.
No, they really haven't. And I mean, you got 1 ultimate out. Hey, Patriota finds Silva right there, but it's going to be difficult for them to find anything else.
Oh, okay. Never mind. We don't want to doubt your game, Patriota, but they're going to throw ults right back into the face. This is what happens when you save those ultimates for an amazing time like this. But now, things get difficult. Skies is going to run out of cooldowns here. Rock is going to have this ult to throw everybody back in, but everyone's going to get thrown back immediately. They need to find at least 1 pick to make this worthwhile, and they're thinking about using the Deadeye here. There's so many bodies. I'd be so tempted right now, but unfortunately, Pope gets taken out and Salad helping the squad out, and now time beginning to run away. Garcia's so far away, it feels like, from getting that bomb online, and Dex, unfortunately right here, this will be as far as the card's gonna go in for 1Tricks. The finish line is set in place. Right?
You're gonna see a touch come out here, but does Tio Cola have really enough to do anything with it? Well, it was a fleeting touch, but I mean, Tio Cola, they got past 2nd point, which in my opinion, 2nd point is a round killer. That you're able to get a little bit into the 3rd point push, but that's a very awkward spot for it to be at. It truly is, because you cannot afford to lose 1 team fight there. If you're 1Tricks, you gave yourself a very excellent win condition. You have to go back to Hollywood. That's exactly what Tio Cola did to get themselves back into this series. 1Tricks now, I mean, hey, the roles are reversed. The script is flipped here. 1Tricks, all they need to do is get about halfway through point 3, and they are your grand champions. But Tio Cola, they had opportunities. They really did. They just struggled on, and that's the sad thing to say about it.
They really did. I think they struggled on every single point, unfortunately. And then when it mattered the most at the very end, they just didn't really have enough of a massive time bank standing by to be able to kind of make up for what was happening. And honestly, we haven't talked about the numbers a whole lot in this situation right here. But just looking at the fact that Nothiel only going down one, Skies only going down twice to that, and comparing to the other deaths we've seen from the entire other side of Teocola, that survivability, it means so much because every time they're trying to get down one of these two members right here, and while it's working for Juju, unfortunately, these other two staying alive is a massive hindrance to...
we have not seen... We have not seen a Sigma all night long. This is a make or break pick, in my opinion, here for Teocola. If Garcia is able to do everything you want on this Sigma, they're going to be champions. But if they struggle, you're just going to give all the momentum back to 1Tricks, a team that when we see them have momentum, they do not like to give it up very easily.
Yeah, but right now it's a rough scenario right now because eventually you're going to see bodies go around right now. Patriotic be forced to, I believe, hit the recall in that situation right there. But Skies gets thrown into the immortality field right there, getting super low, is staying low right now, but should eventually get a little bit of care right now. Garcia, though, sitting low, though, needs so much care right now eventually. Gonna have to use more of their cooldowns just to be able to stay alive right now. Still getting super dangerously low. Skies very much to the same area right now, but it's really hard to push. Gonna get rocked, forced into the gold form as well. It's a lot being used to try to make this thing happen right now. Of course, poking over on the Ash, he's finding something. Unfortunately, nobody seems to be wanting to die quite yet, except for Maya.
That's not who you want to see fall first. That's a lot of your burst healing Garcia now. You're gonna have to play very, very safe. And honestly, if you are Teocola, you might be giving up a tick or two here if you will still want to try to hold this first point. Well, losing Garcia, you might just be giving up this first point completely.
This is going to be a massive struggle for Teocola to do almost anything from this point on, because the bright side is everyone's going to get the goods pump, but Garcia is going to match the Orisa, which at no point of this series has gone great.
I would much rather see the Ramatra. I really would. But they have time. And if Garcia gets his struggles on very early on here, the Ramatra is there. That might be their break glass if needed here. But Poke finding Salad out. I mean, they're going to be able to hold it arches here, but you lose Patriota,
who has been such a major fixture on the squad as well. And again, a scenario where Skies gets super low, but again, does not drop. Nothiel uses the Yawl, which might not seem as maybe a waste, but they get their arch waste for that.
Yeah, they get through arches, which is vitally important for them here. And look, they're pushing up very, very far. This is exactly what you wanted 1Tricks to do here. Teocola, though, you have ultimates of your own here. You're going to have to use them. I love the usage of it here.
Yeah, it's going to cause separation right now, but we're going to go in, Bob throw in the background, everybody gets throws back. Nobody should go down. In fact, nobody does, but this is an over-investment from Teocola now, and Juju is not going to let anybody drop in this ult right now. Sky, again, getting super low, needs to die if you want any chance of winning this, but they get a bunch of healing. Everybody is still alive right now. They're pushing as hard as they can, but that's nobody from 1Tricks wants to go down.
And Teocola, you need to find a pick there with any of those ultimates, but you did not.
Thank
you
God.
Get rid of Skies, so that is a good opener, but you need to finish the fight.
Yeah, now everyone being thrown into a corner right now eventually is going to happen, but my God, did it nearly not. And if it didn't, I'm pretty sure Nothiel just jumped off of the face of Poke, by the way, or Patriota. That was kind of funny, but there's still a ton of time on this clock.
I think they got Coach Gun up in the air again there by Poke. But I mean, Garcia, they have a Terror Surge. You have the overclock from Patriota, which has been vital for them in the past. But Silva and Salad, you cannot talk lightly about their ultimate play as well. Silva's been able to find a couple decent kills with Deadeye. The couple hasn't seen them, and Salad has been pretty consistently on this Orisa. I mean, on this Sojourn all night long. But you see, Nothiel, they have another Ant Matrix ready to go.
Yeah, this isn't going to find anything at the end of the day, though. It's going to be able to create a bunch more space, which is what they have been using a lot of the ultimates for. And you can't really hate that that's been usage either. A lot of bodies sitting in here right now. A lot of bodies going to get low right now. Juju can be the first one, and everyone else going to fall directly behind. And I'm loving things right now. It is a lot of Patriot going to clear out the house, but now that means you are basically hoping on the back of Maya to win this fight off of that Ant Matrix.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of an overinvestment with Patriota using that overclock right there, but I love the combo of the Dynamite and the Terror Surge right there from Garcia and Poke. It cleaned up house pretty quickly right there, and the overclock was just the icing on the cake. But right now, 1Tricks, look at what they have. About to have both their support ultimates and the Terror Surge. It's going to be really, really good. They have this here late, but Maya, this Ant Matrix needs to be used when that Terror Surge comes out.
has to. There's not even a question about that right here. Going to be going in. Garcia in a bit of a rough spot already. Maya might be thinking about using this thing a little more aggressively. Already going to throw his bodies in right now. Maya sitting super low. Mortality going to be gone, and Poke going to be throwing out the Bob right here. But Juju wants to be able to solidify, making sure this is done. So Bob being burst into right now as Poke through the darn stay over on the high ground, keep things alive. And with Poke being taken care of with their Bob right now, we see a big investment from Tiakola right now. And for Garcia, the rest of the squad, it seems to be working out. Buys on the high ground, struggling to stay alive. Everybody's super low right now. Juju eventually to take care of one Sky, gonna get rid of another. Still has all the care in the world. Garcia doing everything with the rest of the squad, but at the end of the day, it is not gonna stop the second point capture coming through. A devastating loss for Tiakola.
And that golden box of victory, it's gonna pop up here any moment now. And it's not that far. It's halfway through this push. This is what I talked about, was what Tiakola did not want to see happen. It's right there. One fight win is all 1Tricks needs. You have 3 minutes. You could bank ultimates here. You could lose fight after fight. You have to be forcing out ultimates from Tiakola here, who's already using one right now to try to win a quick fight.
Yeah, and it's not even stopping much of the momentum of the cart either at the end of the day, so things still a bit of a rough scenario. Skies gets super low though, so things not over quite yet, but Garcia has to stay alive. That is the #1 point of this conversation right now.
And that immortality field, a little bit awkward spot right there, but Mia already loses it right there and very low on health. 1Tricks coming up to ultimates here. Like I said, all they need to do is ult dump.
Yeah, and right now Garcia might be thinking about spinning in and simply going for it right now. They have almost nothing left in the chamber right now in terms of their cooldowns. They're going to be forced in right now. They're going to go in, simply grab over onto Silver right now. It's going to be able to have Galp get rid of them, but they're still traded out right now because Maya is gone. Garcia's down low right now, and it might be the end right here for Sky. Everything being invested into the fight. Sky's going to get rid of one. The only trick that they have shown you was that they weren't going to win this thing, but they have. They will be your South American champions of CGL.
Oh, and what a series. What a series for these two. This was the only team in the regular season that was actually able to beat Tiakola. They took them the distance in the winners round 2, but Tiakola got their revenge there. And they were oh so close to making sure it stayed that way. But 1Tricks, what a performance for them here in that defensive round to stop Tiakola where they did. They are rightfully deserving of the first ever CGL South American console open tier champions. They put on a hell of a show here tonight. Actually, hell, Hunter, we talked about already. Both these teams put on a hell of a show.
They 100% did. Everyone had these amazing peaks throughout the series as well. Everyone developing further and further as things went around. Because at the end of the day, you would have assumed this result from the second map, but the fact that Tiakola was able to bring it back in the first place, the fact that they were able to make the series as close as they did and really show how strong they are is a phenomenal thing. It's something we don't get to see in a lot of these series. In an alternate universe, this is a 4-0, and we're fast asleep right now in our beds. But here we are after the absolute chaos that was the last 2.5 hours at least of our lives, and I'm sure the same can be said for these players. So I can't say anything more about these 10 players. They just did such a phenomenal job, and my God, does South America know how to put on a series.
I mean, hey, you could argue these were probably two of the most competitive teams throughout the entire regular season. 1Tricks struggled coming out of the gate, but they really bounced back. And I think the fact that they didn't make that midseason playoffs really gave them the spark they needed in that second half of the season to play how they did. And they played incredibly then. Remember, like I said, they gave Tiakola their only loss of the regular season back in week 6, and it was 3-1. Up until that point, I think Tiakola had only dropped 3 maps. So, I mean, they doubled their map losses right there. And, I mean, they got their revenge in that winners round 2, like I said. But 1Tricks was waiting till the very end. Once they got knocked down to that lower bracket, they played 10 maps, won 9 of them, only lost 1. You could tell they were motivated to get back here and face off against this Tiakola team yet again. And the performances from everyone here. Juju, those first couple maps for 1Tricks. Then it slowly started to go into this tank battle. Then it was back to DPS, back to the tank, the support lines as well. I mean, this final map was every line showing their best, and you could not ask for anything more.
You really cannot at the end of the day. So once more, congratulations for 1Tricks. My God, yeah, it really does just kind of make my brain shut down from everything we've seen, and I'm just on this weird rush in my head. But in all seriousness, it just can't be said enough how great this is, and the fact that this is the first thing you bring out on your first official season in a CGL. You put on a 7-map banger in the grand finals. I could not ask for anything more in the situation right here. Couldn't ask for more from these players. Couldn't ask more from anybody, really. It's hard to. It's almost becoming hard to put into words because just. I don't know. It's just that great. It's hard.
You don't get map 7s that often, and they gave us one here tonight, and it was incredible. Like you said, it was a roller coaster. And a lot of times in map 7s, they are roller coasters, but this was an incredibly close one throughout. Yeah, maps 1 and 2, you could talk about being a little bit one-sided towards 1Tricks, but Teocola, I mean, they definitely did leave everything out there, but 1Tricks was just able to get over that final hump in the end to be crowned champions. And honestly, shout out to William Mundy and Senju here. I mean, they got together with Headrammer and got this together to be a thing, and they honestly showed out a lot. And this South American region is a fun one to watch, and it is one that, I mean, honestly, there should be more eyes on. Look at how these teams played today. You're gonna want to see that again and again and again.
I 100% do, and obviously I'm excited to see what will come from the next season and so on and so forth, because obviously there are a lot of things coming with South America to CGL outside of just next season. Obviously Copa America coming here within, I believe, actually it's coming up here pretty shortly. Actually,
it's the weekend,
I'm pretty
isn't
sure. I think it literally is coming up here. So it is this weekend. It's going to be very exciting. It'll be broadcasted in 3 different languages, 4 different countries down in South America going against each other. It's phenomenal at the end of the day. So I'm excited to see what more South America can bring, because obviously with this whole season that they've had here, including this monster of a game to finish it off, my God, more people need to watch South America. It is as simple as that. They are a region that was forgotten for a long time, but my God, could it not be overstated how talented some of these players and teams are.
Yeah, and you could tell that they put everything out there this series. Again, this was an incredible one. And like I said, thank you so much to William Mundy and Senju for getting this together.
Yes.
This was incredible. If you guys hadn't been watching South America throughout the entire season, hopefully this series here is the reason you start watching it come next season, because it's going to be really, really fun. But Hunter, there's not much more we can say about this one here.
No, and normally this is where I would say we're going to go cut to an interview for now, but very much so. A lot of the members do speak Portuguese, and unfortunately not very much English. So I believe they're doing an interview over on the other broadcast where we do have our lovely Portuguese casters doing things down there. So if, I was going to say, if you want to go down there and watch it, you should still go support it, because, they'll be going on, longer than us, realistically speaking. You never know what you're going to hear, what you're going to see. Maybe there'll be a translator in chat. You never know, ladies and gentlemen. It could always exist. But Dex, outside of that, that is very much it for us in the situation. So honestly, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, for supporting South America, for supporting CGL. And at the end of the day, I feel like it's so appropriate to leave it off on something like that, because I hope everybody watching here today has seen what this region can bring, what all these amazing players and talent was able to bring the season and make something incredible. So sincerely thank all of you for joining us here today. We still have a bit more CGL action to cover coming throughout the week with just a couple more regions. But for the sake of us here tonight, we want to thank you all for coming out, and please have yourselves a great night. Take care.